I stuffed it up again.
Please sub and share.
Stuffed
Searching
up.
for the truth. UFOs, aliens, greys and ufology.
Seems louder for some reason.
Real images, real stories, real videos, real cases, researched and investigated by professionals in the field and cutting-edge discoveries. Multiple witnesses, abduction accounts brought to you by Team The Out There channel. Good to be back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Action.
I kind of like how it sort of synced up with the flashes of the rockets firing out there channel at the end there. But again, I messed up the countdown, so we got the clip off the front of it saying the out there channel with Rob and Paul.
So we're not live, are we?
We are live, but I messed it up.
Yeah,
we are live. We are live now, as far as I know. I forgot to bring up the screen before I hit. I started counting down. I noticed I didn't have the go button ready on the stream control software, like I had this morning. I had it perfect this morning, but then I just clipped the front of the start of it. But that's all right. I am tired. Okay, we've got lots of things popping up here. Let me just sort it out. I clicked on things in a panic there. Panic.
Nah, never panic.
I think the audio's alright. So, what are we going to cover today, Robert?
I don't know. We could go over the year in review. Don't need to go into too much detail. I think there's only a couple of salient points, really, but they could be big ones. Yeah. We've seen a strange year, and I think the biggest point here in question is the Gillibrand Amendment, because I think that was huge. I honestly think that will go down in history like the Magna Carta.
Okay, before we get into that though, let me just post up a few things on the side chat which I forgot.
Of course.
And of course, what happened to Robert this morning? Well, I got a message from him saying on Discord that he was stuck in the toilet because of a chicken. And I thought, hang on, did I read that right? I better read it again. And why would a chicken get him stuck in the toilet? And I was thinking maybe the Mr. Mosh kicked down a cabinet and it went in front of his toilet door or something. And he couldn't open it. But then it turned out he was talking about Jelly Belly, or whatever you call it over there.
Deli Belly.
Deli Belly.
Non-Indians.
So, yeah. So, I don't understand why your phone was not charged and you couldn't send me a text message, though. That's a wee bit strange.
No, all that happened, it was ran down on battery and it needed a recharge. So what happens when it runs down completely, when it's totally drained, it switches itself off. I don't know why. It's kind of safety mechanism.
Once it gets under 18% normally.
No, it was actually under 2%.
I just leave mine plugged in all the time, and I find the batteries last longer. All this idea of it not being overcharged, well, it never gets overcharged anyway if it's got proper battery management. So you should always keep it above 50 and 80% to get long life out of the batteries. But you know that the iPad battery can last 10 years because JD's got an iPad and it's still going strong after 10 years. Normally smartphones and all that, they only last a year and a half and you have to throw it away. or get a bit creative and open it up, of course. And okay,
I've
so
actually
this
got
is...
the spare battery. This one is I've done it in more or less. It's not even lasting the whole day anymore.
Yeah. Okay, I think I got the side chat sorted out finally. So yeah, I pinned a comment to my website there if you want to join us on Discord or get any access to the best videos. And just stay in touch for the website. It's easy to remember. We've got some Russian joining us here. I'm not too sure. Looks like spam happening there, is it? vum.ong. So yeah, we probably need to time out that guy. Can I do it? I don't know. Hide user reports. Where's timeout gone to? It's not in my list. Alright, put user in timeout. Yeah, don't spam the sides. It's even though I didn't include on the intro the rules. Hopefully I don't have to add it back in. Because this adds longer onto the startup, doesn't it? But the rules are just be civil to each other, no self-promotion, no spamming, no nudity, no swearing, although mostly the F words is what we don't like around here. But anyway, who else did we have up here? We had Dan, but he's had to go to bed. I know it's pretty late there for America, and I think it's pretty damn early in the morning in UK there, isn't it? 6 in the morning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy, Rob, crazy. He works some funny hours, this guy. I've just had dinner myself, and it was lovely. I don't know what you call it. Mince with potato and cheese on top. What's that called? It's
there's a
special
name for
name.
that. It's kind of like shepherd's pie.
Yeah, shepherd's pie, that's it.
Yeah.
And then there's one where you can add little sausages and it's called toad in the pie or something.
Toad in the hole. Come on, lad.
Hole.
Get it right.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm New Zealand, not really UK.
Yeah, I know.
It was lovely because Dad said he bought this tray of mince that had like 0 fat in it. He said it looked like what would be exported, and sure enough it was. It was so juicy and tender. It didn't clump together. It wasn't any fat in it, and the gravy just mixed in well with it. Oxo cube, I think he used. Old British standard. And potato with blobber butter and milk mixed in, made it all creamy on top, and some New Zealand tasty cheese, which is always the best thing. And it was fantastic. I could have eaten lots of it, but I thought, no, I'm not going to overdo it because I'll probably get sick. Because with these pills I'm on, I get random sickness, and it's terrible when it comes on. And the only thing that cures it, oddly enough, is a vitamin called folic acid. For some reason it drains your... Yeah, these immune pills drain your body of folic acid for some reason, so you got to keep eating a lot of replacements. Normally it's naturally in food, but it drains the body pretty quick of it, and you end up with cramps and spasms and all sorts of craziness happening. It's really scary pills. I don't like them, but yeah, I just found on a website it says if you've taken these pills, do not have sex with your partner, or get her pregnant because the baby will be deformed. And I thought, why am I taking these pills? Why wasn't I told this? So I'm not sure if I'll be on it forever, these pills. So Scary. Methotrexate, they're called. So yeah,
Okay.
and it's meant to be for those that suffer really bad arthritis. But yeah, your fertility days are over. So hopefully once you come off it comes back normal again. But who knows? I just don't trust doctors and government and anything anymore, what they say. They've been caught out too many times lying, haven't they? Or they've been keep changing the facts as it rolls off. Instead of saying, we don't really know, but this is what we know so far. Instead of saying that, they keep saying, oh, this is what we do know, which it turns out to be wrong later. And they wonder why people don't trust them, with the vaccine and all that sort of stuff. So that's our year in review, though, isn't it? The distrust that's got bigger and bigger in the last since 2016. Don't you find that? Now, I heard about conspiracies before 2016, and you sort of laughed at them, most of them, and everybody knew about Alex Jones, and then it just went more and more crazy after that. Every year
Alex Jones.
Yeah, everything just went more crazy. There was more conspiracies, there was more censorship, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and more lies. More lies were coming from trusted sources, like your government, and mainstream media were lying and covering up things, and that's not what a journo should do. Journo should always be exposing things, and investigating journalists should be doing that.
I don't touch politics. I'm just a UFO guy.
No, I'm just talking in general, censorship in general. Medical things, the big one at the moment because of the virus.
We've seen a lot of that kind of thing, and it's we're not really going in the right direction, I'm afraid. I'm
not too sure if we've got a cure for this virus, and I think in the end you just got to have to let it go, and it's going to kill off some, and some people are going to be super immune to it, and it'd just be like another flu, whether you want to get flu jabs or not. I've always refused the flu jabs because I never got flus.
Going anywhere, is it? It's got no intentions of suddenly crashing and burning. I thought it would have crashed and burned by now, to be honest, like most respiratory illnesses. But this one doesn't. It seems to be extremely resilient. And you have to think, if you've got a type of virus that kills everyone, there's no way it can spread, can it? It can't, no, because a dead man doesn't pass on the virus. So it's got that combination of being lethal to some, while infecting most harmlessly. And that's what the Omicron variant has sort of developed, I think. It's because of the Delta. And then the virus has modified itself so it doesn't kill off everybody. But I still think most of these viruses lay dormant in your system somewhere. They sort of just go into deep dive and stay neutral to the body so they're not detected, I think you're right there, because a friend of mine got taken in with all the symptoms of COVID, and he was in a pretty bad way, He was hospitalised, but they couldn't detect the virus. They knew it was COVID, but they couldn't find it in him. He kept testing negative.
Really? It's funny you should say that, because on the news tonight, on the news tonight, they said New Zealand's now got its first social transmitted Omicron in Auckland, of all places, who's had a really rough time. So I don't know, it must have been someone that was in what do they call it? QIM or something, medical quarantine. And he had 3 tests and they all come back negative. And on the day he was released, later in the afternoon, he got a positive result back. And by then he had been to a restaurant, cafe and all that, and he's probably given it to thousands already in that time, in that one day. And it just spreads like that, you know, because it's 2.5 times infectious, right? The where the flu was generally 1 to 1. So it's scary. We know it's more likely to kill people like me that have already diabetes or other conditions, right? And also older people. So we'll have to see how it goes, I guess. I am vaccinated now. But I tell you, I've had this dreadful coming and going of wanting just to sleep all the time. And now I'm in this wave at the moment where I find it harder to sleep. So I'm surviving on 4 hours sleep at the moment. But probably I'll end up crashing again for a week. And then it'll come back around again. It's not constant at all. I just don't know what's going on with me. And at the moment, I've got 2 feet that are twice the size. And they're swelled up and they're so tight and they're so painful. I don't know what to do with them. Apart from walking or whatever. I'm going to have to do something about it. It feels like the skin's going to split. I know, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm going to lose my feet at this rate. It's a lot of scary stuff happening for me. That's why I sort of gave up at the end of the year here. I was really, my health was really in a bad state, and I just couldn't concentrate on the computer anymore. I couldn't lay down on the bed. You think laying down on the bed would keep the blood flow even to the legs, but it doesn't seem to. So yeah, looks like I've got some more testing to do. Maybe blood clots. Could I have blood clots? Maybe. Was it caused by the vax? Well, maybe. Maybe that made it worse. Or maybe it had something already. So who knows? There's just so many unknowns. So anyway, on the positive side though, you said you're giving up smoking. Or trying to. Are you there? Have we lost you? Have you muted? Have we lost? Don't do this to us. Robert, where are you? Robert. Is it his? Hasn't got a name there. Let's see if we can get him back. That's all we need. I think he started up e-cigarettes. I think he said to me last time. Or trying them. Robert, where are you? Robert. I was going to say bet your cigarettes and then say go to it. Let's start on the UFO topic. UFO side of things for the year. And he's gone. Robert, where are you? Let's see if I can send a message to him. Robert, where are you gone? Is he back now?
Okay, we're back in.
I'll just typed a site message to you. We've got 2 Roberts now. One's called Follow Jester.
What it is, it's that OneDrive. It's shutting my computer
down. Right, you haven't specified a name, so it's giving you Fellow Jester. Let's see.
That's the last of our concerns for now.
Can I kick this one out? Let's see. Kick that one. Okay. Your video quality's gone down though. Yeah, I was just saying to everybody, health-wise on your side of things, you're gone to e-cigarettes from regular cigarettes.
Oh,
The last.
jeez. Yeah.
So how's the e-cigarettes going?
Do you know what? It was quite an easy transition
Huh?
from smoking to this.
Mm,
I've done my research on vaping.
yeah,
Despite some silly scares in America,
yeah.
it's obviously a hell of a lot safer than smoking. It's not the nicotine that kills; it's the tar.
I think
Um,
you got to get the natural stuff, like Earl Grey said, the stuff that's made from oil and stuff, and uh, proper flavorants, not get the other
oh
stuff from
yes, oh
overseas.
absolutely. Oh good God, whatever you do, don't get any black market stuff because that's what's happened to people.
Mm.
They've
Something,
used DHT based
yeah,
products and caused lung damage.
yeah. Okay, so I suppose we better start.
It's still cheaper than smoking.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. So I heard. Like you can get nicotine pretty much in a bottle that gives you so many thousands of cigarettes, and it's only like $100 or something.
Oh, good God, man! You can buy a 10 ml bottle for
Next to
for a
nothing.
tenner. Yeah,
Yeah.
next to nothing.
Yeah, and that's what
And
10,
it's just
250
flavour
cigarettes.
all. So and basically it's just a coil that heats up the liquid and produces a vapor.
Yeah, it's the
So
same
it's
as a
really
smoke
simple.
machine.
Yeah,
That's what they use in nightclubs. Same thing. It pumps vegetable oil mixed with scent through a hot nozzle, and as it goes through the nozzle, it heats up into steam. Well, it vaporizes into this sort of powder smoke. It's got a slightly oil in it because it's obviously made from vegetable oil, and it's totally safe. um, so e-cigarettes, some smart Chinese guy said, "Why can't we do that with nicotine?" And sure enough, in other flavors, of course. There's a documentary about it all somewhere. I think it might be on BBC. But yeah, they did a test, which I'm sure I did give you a link to it, where the guy has never smoked in his life, but he was a doctor, and he went on the e-cigarettes to see how well it went. And sure enough, it was good for him. Okay, so I think we're starting to get some spammers here. VOT. I'm just going to hide that one. Is it working? Yep. How come it doesn't change over here? Is it a bit slow? Oh, no, yeah, it's a bit slow. Okay, so yeah, we're going to do whatever you want to do. So you want to talk about an update here on your 50 years mystery?
Oh, for sure. I stumbled across this case while I was accidentally looking for another case, and I came across this. Now, the east coast of Ireland has had many really strange UFO encounters, and I noticed that this case was unsolved. And when you get a nose for a case, you think something's a little bit off and you investigate further.
Mm.
And then I got to a certain point when I realised, oh my God, this case is like super strange. You know, there was all kinds of things wrong with it. Yeah,
Mm.
61 people lost their lives here. Aer Lingus Flight 172 1968. It was from Cork to London. It should have been a really simple journey. It was in broad daylight. I think it took off at 11:15 a.m. By 11:30, it was all over. And it was pretty horrible. 70 days it took them to find the wreckage on a simple route like that. They should have found it easily. Why didn't they find it easily? I'll tell you why. The two witnesses that actually saw the crash, they didn't believe the witnesses because there was no way that the aircraft could have been where it was, as the witnesses stated at that time. Now, in total, this article won't tell you this, but in total, there was 49 witnesses. They dismissed nearly all of them and just cherry-picked the witnesses.
Of course, back then, radar was pretty new still, and call signs, and satellites, not so much satellites and GPS in the sky as there is now. So, unlike today, we still have planes go missing in the big sea because it's so damn deep. Obviously, there's going to be some deep sea also between Ireland and Wales or England. But, this is a case you talked about last time that we were on, wasn't it?
I've gone into a little more depth on this now, and what I'm finding is quite disturbing, Paul. As I was saying, those 49 witnesses, they were all seeing the plane in different places where it couldn't have been.
All seen in different places.
Listen, yes. Listen to what I'm saying. Some people seen it so close, they could read a number on the side of the plane.
That's pretty low down.
That's pretty low down. It was about 100 feet off the sea, according to one witness.
Right. That's very unusual.
Yeah, it's really unusual. Now, if you look at Tusker Rock, where it actually went down, Tusker Rock is actually north.
Do I bring up a map?
Yes, sure. Bring up a map. Cork to London. I'll just bring up a map of the UK, and I'll show you the two locations.
Yeah. I'll just go to satellite view. Island, man.
Okay, so
was it North Island?
No, south. We go south. Cork. You can see Cork. Where left?
Yeah.
Down the bottom. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's going from Cork to London.
So it would have been taking the shortest route, which would have been straight across.
Yeah.
Right. Straight across.
And it crashed just off Wexford. What the hell was it doing there?
Where's that one there? That's way off course.
No, that's Waterford. Go up.
Right.
Wexford.
Oh, there. Is that one?
See that point? There's a little point there that sticks out. Jets out a bit.
That's way off course.
Yeah, it's way off course. So what happened? Perfect conditions.
So where did it crash? There.
Yes. Tusker Rock. If you type that in individually.
Yes, Tusker Rock. Let's see, my eyes are a wee bit blurry. That one.
Not too worried, take your time.
It's got a... That's down at the south of England, wasn't it?
Oh, you've typed it in wrong.
United Kingdom, there must be two Tusker Rocks.
Yeah, no, put in Ireland.
Let's see, United Kingdom. What's that
Ireland.
Oh, there are two.
Yeah.
Is it spelt different? So.
Yeah, spelled slightly differently with an A.
Spelled with an A. I must have spelled it wrong in the header then. Okay. Oh, where's he gone? Only shows up there. Now there's the bit sticking out. Kiss. Point. Oh, where's Wix? Wix stuff. What was
You'll
it?
have
Wix?
to scroll out to see that. You'll have to scroll out. Go back so you can see it from more the general direction. That's it.
Okay. So it's generally up there. Aha, there we go. It's quite a big city there.
Yeah.
And the rock is out here somewhere. Down here. There it is. So let's just keep an eye. There, somewhere there. Let's see how far between the islands it is. It's a fair distance away. It's closer to islands than
yeah, you have to go back now to Cork to understand.
Yeah, what's this? It looks like a sea ridge here. Let's have a quick look at that.
Yeah.
Is it going to give us any details?
Okay.
No. It looks like there's something here, see? But we've got no details on it. Looks like underground rock structure there. There. Tusker Rock Lighthouse. And we ain't got no picture of it. If I keep scrolling in, that's it. We got no picture of the rock.
I can find that easily for you if you like.
Yeah, it's not on the satellite. Maybe the satellite can't see it that day. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's way off course, and back then they were using navigation by compass, was it? Remember there was an ancient...
It's 1968, they had instruments, Paul.
The compass bearings, and probably triangulation between radio transmission beacons or whatever. But apparently there was meant to be a big asteroid impact in this area here, oddly enough, which would be maybe a reason why there could be a lot of iron or magnetic influence there on compasses.
Well done.
Yeah?
Well done. I came to the same conclusion.
Yeah, and there was rumoured of blue people. Remember my story about blue people? Which the story was generally meant to be about Vikings coming down with blue paint on their face and got washed overboard and landed on the beaches, right? But that might not be the case. It might actually be blue people from a underground UFO base that's meant to be there. And this here looks like an old impact site for a comet. Got that sort of circular shape happening there.
I'm not sure about that, but nevertheless. But you can see now from Cork to London. Scroll down the map a little bit so people can see just where London is if they're not from the UK. Now, there's no reason that aircraft should have been anywhere near where it was, and why was it seen quite clearly by several witnesses off the coast of South Wales. Also, to answer the mystery,
unless it went this way, and for some reason it turned around and went this way.
Could it have been in trouble? Yeah,
100 feet off the water.
Had a mechanical problem and tried to turn back.
Let's see, if it was flying here, and at this point here it had a problem, lost radio contact maybe, and maybe, as we know, meteorites can actually cause interference with radio. and headed back towards the nearest airport, which probably would have been that
Which would have
location
been
there.
Dublin up there. If it was going that way and it was trying to land safely, it would have been looking for Dublin. Scroll out the map again, and you'll see where Dublin is.
If it's in that trouble, it's too far away. I would have thought it would have gone for
Yeah,
another
it's too
airport.
far away because nothing makes sense of this case, Paul.
Okay, so let's type in airports or airfields, because it wouldn't need much to land.
Okay, yeah, I know where all the airports are, and there's nothing on the east coast.
Let me just
Yeah.
say airports, island. Let's see if it'll give it indications.
There's Shannon, but Shannon's on the west coast, you see.
Here we go. Here's all the airports. And they'll probably be the
Yeah, I
major
don't think
ones.
they were all there then, Paul, in 1968. I don't think you had that many.
Okay, so yeah, that was true. But there is one where he was heading there. I don't know if that was still around. Waterford, he might have been going for. Oh, what's happened? Okay. It kind of looks like Betfield. Looks like a little small airport. 2-engine planes. Yeah. That's
Yeah, but even if
interesting.
it had a runway there, then it was, it was possible it was heading back in
How
that
do I get rid of that?
direction after mechanical failure. But it still doesn't explain how people were seeing it off the coast of South Wales.
I've lost my airports now. That one there. Go away. How do I get rid of these? They're all the different airports. They're all the different airports that come up. How do I get rid of that? Oh, right there. Okay, I wanted to go to here. I scroll down.
Hold on. What's there?
Okay. So we need to find out if that was there in that particular year. That's very close to Wexford.
Yes.
There.
That's what we need to find out. Was it there in 1968?
Hey Claire, how's it going? You're still up. Whereabouts are you again? Europe? Let's see, Germany was it? So, Waterford was it? I forgot the name already.
Yeah, Waterford.
Waterford.
Paul, spell in. There you go.
Island. Airport. What did you say? Established?
I don't know what year it was. I'm going to leave this one up to you now. I can do my own search, yeah?
Established. Well, you know me, I've got you going different directions now because I interfered. But then again, I think of things that you don't, you see. 1981, is it? So you're right, it wasn't around.
It wasn't there, mate.
Was not there,
So it wasn't going there. So it wasn't going to no airport, that's for sure.
So,
well,
let's see.
I'm going to get
Island airports. I've got air post, is it? Airports.
Okay, we've established that, Paul. Okay, we can move on.
Established. 19. What was the year? 68, wasn't it? Let's see what we got. History of Kerry airports. We need it on the map, really. Derry airports. And Dublin airports. So we have to see where all those are. Dublin, which is what you said, and Kerry. 1968. Whereabouts is it? Maps. Maybe it'll come up on a map. Birmingham, eh? I used to have a friend in New Zealand from there.
Yeah, Birmingham, Midlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, that's like it's a rough old place. I'm sure there's nice places,
Well,
there as well. Yeah, I remember a couple of
so it's
trips
not
to
that one.
Birmingham.
Too far away.
That's too far inland.
It's up there
You're going
with
to be
Dublin,
looking for
though.
concentrate. Yeah, but remember, there's no. Why would it try to get to Dublin?
So
When it
you're
should
right. Dublin looks like the closest one from that
Yep,
location.
I
Apart
am. I know. I
from,
looked into it. I could have saved
apart
you all this trouble. I've been researching it for a couple of months now, Paul.
yeah. So all these other airports must be all pretty new because of growing population, right? But yeah. So what drove it off course, and why did it lose radio contact?
Well, here's the thing. When the plane was salvaged, they found absolutely no fault at all.
No way.
The engine was in perfect condition. Now, there's one thing. Now, if we're looking for a conventional explanation, there's one thing left.
Terror?
They never found the tail. They made an absolute total cock up of the salvage operation. Yeah, I didn't seem to realise that when something actually comes out of the water, it gets heavier, and all the wreckage collapsed. They only recovered 16 bodies. I think it was actually 14 bodies out of the 61.
Yeah.
A couple of them I've actually seen the scenes, and I wouldn't want you to see them. Like just a torso floating on the water, it's just not.
So if it was
You
flying
can't
100 feet above
see
the
what you've
water,
seen.
it probably crashed
The
into the
bodies
sea and split apart.
They never found the tail section. The tail section was lost.
Yeah, but it
And
must
the
have been
Viscounts. The
must have been the
Viscounts.
first thing to go, though. So it must have been the first thing. So I would have thought if it was heading back this way, the tail would be this side rather than the other side, if you know what I mean. So maybe they're looking in the wrong spots.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
And if it split open across the like skimmed across the water, the tail would have broken off. People would have fallen out the back end. Would have started taking on water and stopped. Would have floated for a wee while, I think, but the if it's split in half, already the component's going to be flooded with super cold sea water. And if people are not dressed up for survival gear, which they're not going to be, or even had time to prepare, maybe they just had like these blow-up vests, which ain't going to help you survive the temperatures of the sea. As soon as you go too cold and hyperthermic, right? You basically pass out, and then you just simply go under the water, right? You don't float anymore. You sort of slowly sink down, and that's probably what happened.
That can, but some of the
suck them out this way. Definitely strong tides, yeah. Especially that close to that peak there, definitely would be, I'd say. So nowadays they've got special programs that can actually track the currents and where the debris would go and the bodies, and they would know if it got drifted out to sea. Probably ended up with shark bait. Sad to say, but generally that's probably what happens. Yeah. So they didn't discover anything over the years. Normally you get occasionally something wash up like clothing or...
No. Now here we go. Now come the conspiracy theories, okay? There was a military exercise in the area, and there was a missile base in South Wales, And here are the two theories. UFOs were seen, okay, on the same day. When I say UFO, I don't mean alien spacecraft, okay? It doesn't stand for that. It stands for unidentified flying object. How people get that simple little acronym confused, I'll never know, but they do.
Yeah.
But a UFO is a UFO, and there'd been a history of UFO encounters over the east coast of Ireland, which I discovered. So, okay, what was going on with the military encounter? Were they using target drones? The number one theory is it was hit by an English or UK missile. Yeah?
Someone had to push the button to launch it.
Or a target drone for that missile. So, of course, at the time there was tension between Ireland and the UK. But there's 100% on this case, 1,000,000% on this case, there was a cover-up.
I think we could look at possibly two events that happened. The plane had a problem and turned back and didn't have radio contact for some reason. Maybe it lost
radio contact, Paul, it had radio contact.
Did it? Up to the last minute?
And it was all over in 15 minutes.
So if they had radio contact, wouldn't they have said that they're at 100 feet above the water?
Paul, the last radio contact, okay, was off the coast of South Wales.
Yeah, so it could have gone wrong after that point, is what I'm saying, surely.
Yeah. But it did not have time to get to where it crashed. Quite simple, didn't have time. Another thing, the pilot's last words were descending at 5,000 feet and spinning rapidly. Listen to what I'm saying, listen closely. But he said he was at 5,000 feet. From his earlier report, 17,000 feet. Okay? Now, this has been worked out. People have looked at this. And there was no way it could have got from 17,000 feet to 5,000 feet in the time it did without smashing the aircraft to pieces.
And we've heard these stories before.
He wouldn't have even been able to radio in at that point.
And we've heard this story before in USA where the helicopter was sucked up at such a fast speed that it went from 5,000 feet to maybe 17 as well.
The Connie helicopter UFO incident, yes, it's superb.
That went up a crazy amount of speed, altitude, according to the flight box. Did they recover the flight box at all on this one?
At that time in aviation history, Aer Lingus at least didn't have black boxes.
Oh, no.
Now, Claire's mentioning here, were any people on board that needed disappearing? I don't think so. Most of the passengers were Irish. There was a couple of Swiss, and there was another couple from Europe as well, and the rest are from the UK. But I think the large majority of the passengers were. And you've got to think as well, if there was any VIPs on board, they wouldn't have been on an Aer Lingus flight. It wasn't a particularly big airline. But then again, I'm not really sure of the options you had in Ireland at the time.
Yeah.
But no, I am. It's a good question, but
excuse me. Yeah, tickle in the throat again. How come it says zero watching? Claire, you're zero.
Oh yeah. Well, I've always told you that counts as doesn't make any sense.
No, we should all complain to Google about it, shouldn't we? They should fix it.
Yeah, well,
I'm pretty sure they say if it's out their channel, turn everything off. Let's make it difficult for them.
Well, I tell you, there's getting back to this case now. Before we start going off on a tangent about Google, there's other things wrong with this case. There was two civilian There was 2 civilian researchers that got really stuck into this. One of them had his phone bugged. He was absolutely convinced he'd had his phone bugged.
Okay.
Another one had his house broken into. They put the shits up him because they didn't take anything. But they'd been through all his documentation. He had all his digital files on CD back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the 70s or the 80s when that investigation was going on. I think it was Tom O'Donnell. I'm not 100% sure now. But he thought that's it. I've had enough. Yeah, I'm not, because he feared for his life, So somebody was desperately trying to cover this up. Whatever happened, Paul, I don't know what happened. I'd love to think it was. What I'm thinking at the moment is a possible time dilation, time distortion. It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been seen where it was seen. It was seen in different places at almost precisely the same time. You with me? Now, there was an official remark made in the newspapers that Irish country folk always set their clock ahead. So why did they ignore the vast majority of the witness statements, some of which seen it really close up off the coast? And they only used 3 or 4 cases, witness testimonies that they could use to fit their narrative.
Would there have been terrorists back that time where they didn't want the public to know that it was some sort of terrorist plot that was happening, and they tried to cover it up?
Yeah, could it? Well, we had the IRA then, didn't we?
Yeah.
They were really active.
Yeah. Could they have taken over the plane?
No. I really don't think so. That's a possibility because it was going to London.
And they might have shot it down because it was taken over.
Yeah.
And someone gave the order, and they've tried to cover it up since. Who was in charge back then of the Air Force and all that? Who would have been the supreme commander to say, launch the missile? Because they were going to do the same thing to the jets over Washington, remember? 9/11. Exactly the same scenario.
And this would account for the cover-up, and because as I said, things that got, if it was discovered that was actually shot down by a UK missile, it would have increased the tensions between Ireland and the UK, which were already extremely bad. The bombings had started in London by 1968. I mean that's history that I don't want to look at. It's awful. So many innocent people, women, children, got caught up in that IRA campaign. I've got no time for terrorism in any shape or form, to be honest. But we also have to not rule it out, of course. Don't rule it out. But we also have to look at the witness testimony that's seen the plane in places where it simply couldn't have been. And then we have to look at all the other cases.
Okay, so it's possible that the clocks could have been...
Whoa.
The clocks could have been 20 minutes out here and there, right? So when they said some people have their clocks all wrong. If you ever met my mum, pretty much all their clocks in the house are all out. They're not all synchronized.
No, they're not. They're not synced, but people are generally within a minute or two, aren't they?
Well, I don't know. You need to meet my mother. Sometimes she's had clocks hours out and never bothered removing them for brokenness or whatever.
Okay. But look at Cork Airport again. Look where Tusker.
But the thing is, it could have been a terrorist.
Look at South Wales
Okay,
coast
hang on,
is.
hang on. But imagine if a
How
pilot
could the
was
plane,
taken
you know?
over by a terrorist, and he
Yeah.
said, "We want you to now go to this location first before going on to London." And he may have done a Swifty and turned the plane around, thinking they were going to where they wanted to, and he was actually heading back to Ireland. So maybe something happened where the plane went skyward from 5,000, you said, to 17.
So no, it
Where,
went from 17,000 feet to 5,000 feet.
so, and there may have been a scuffle then, which would, but
No. Listen, Paul, it couldn't have possibly made that descent that quickly. So what the official explanation was, it was garbled, and maybe the pilot had made the mistake about his altitude.
if you're being attacked by a terrorist, it's possible.
Well, no. If the plane can't physically do it, it's not possible. No, it isn't, is it?
Well, the readings are wrong then in that case.
There we go. That's what they said. But now you're being almost part of the cover up as well. You see.
Yeah, but
You've got to,
we know instruments do get stuck and
you've got
stuff.
to, when you see the facts, you've got to go by them. I mean, what you're trying to say is now is the witnesses were lying as well, or the witnesses have got mixed up. You're
No, they
going
want to.
exactly the
Yeah,
same way as what the cover did.
yeah.
You're not looking at the facts and thinking, hold on, these
Okay,
witnesses.
so have we got a map where the witnesses saw the plane on a map at all,
No, I'm
and the
yet to
times?
do that.
Because if you do
I'm
that,
yet to
then it
do
might
that.
be more obvious that it
But
couldn't
this
happen
is
this
what
way or whatever.
this is what I want to do.
Hmm.
I want to get a hold of the original witness testimony.
Right.
So I sent a FOIA request.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to have a look at that now. Well, I just
If you
popped some
want.
sorry.
Yeah, it sounds like some sort of cover-up happened, but for what
There's no
reason
question.
we don't know.
There's absolutely no question.
Political aliens.
Well,
It's a
I mean,
flip
if
of a
you're an
coin, really.
aviation authority, how the hell can you turn round and tell the people, oh, well, there's some kind of time distortion off the east coast of Ireland, but it only happens occasionally.
Mm,
Only 61 dead. Nothing to worry about. Aer
yeah.
Lingus rules the air. Yeah,
Is there any
you
other
can't tell
reports
people
of?
that.
Yeah, is there any other reports of compasses going crazy like the Bermuda Triangle between those 2 points?
No, the main two places for that kind of thing are, of course, the Bermuda Triangle and the Great Lakes.
Yeah, I just
If
wonder if
you look
any
at some
pilots
of those
reported
cases,
compass problems.
we can
Let's
look at
just
some of those cases later if we ever get round to it.
let me just do a quick
Let
search
me go for a
on
week. Let me
UK
go for a week.
compass. Yeah, I was meant to go for a wee before we started, but because we had technical problems, I didn't do it. UK compass readings wrong on planes. On pilots, no, planes. Let's try that. So this is part of the research. Short expansion of compass function. Nope. Compass errors in aircraft. Okay. Deviation is written on a little chart located on or near the compass. Okay, let's just have a read of that. Now I can't read it because of the brightness. Navigation using compass without getting lost is necessary. Navigating the craft by using only magnetic compass, clock, and sectional. What's that? Is not regularly done by every pilot. We're going to expand the subject a little. Believe that basic flying by compass, map, and clock should be primary navigation methods. Yeah, should always be backup, shouldn't it? and complemented by radio and satellite navigation. Compass errors. We know there's nothing is perfect, so the magnetic compass that suffers from a number of peculiar effects which influence the way it operates. The pilot needs to be fully aware of these effects. There is a mechanical construction in the compass which is, let's just zoom out a bit, main course of tuning and acceleration errors. The card is mounted in such a way that its centered on gravity is lower than the pivot point, and any movement from the aircraft will cause the force to act on the center gravity, therefore moving the compass card. So the acceleration could be wrong. That's what they're saying. Even by compass. Variation or declination is caused by the fact that the magnetic North Pole is not located at the same point as true North Pole. Nothing we can do about that. Some other definitions, lines of equal variation, are called isogenic, and where the variation is zero, it is called the iconic line. Deviation is error caused by influence of vehicle, where the compass is installed. This can cause by ferrous metals wiring, running currents from, or for example, radio installations. Obviously, magnetic fields, right? Deviation is written on a little chart located or near the compass. It could show to fly heading 090, steer 093. Angle of dip error. So this is all the errors they're talking about the compass that's existent even on today's planes. Magnetic lines of flux around are parallel at the magnetic equator, but they are dive down to the ground as they approach the magnetic poles. This called dip. The magnetic in the compass will align itself with the magnetic flux lines, and as such will dip too, but the construction of the magnetic is such that they are below the pivot point, and residual dip is reduced to 3 degrees. Lines of equal dip are called isoclinical. See, already it's starting to confuse me. When accelerating or decelerating on easterly or westerly heading, the compass will...
man, can we drop this, man? That's way over my head.
Yeah, so this is all about compass errors on planes. Okay, it looks like it's from a proper site here.
Yeah, well, listen, there's nothing to suggest there was any instrument error, Paul. So you're backing up the wrong tree.
Yeah, no. You're saying that they didn't know exactly the altitude, which is basically what they said here with the acceleration.
No. This has got nothing to do with the compass, right? He got in touch with ATC. Yeah, said it was at 17,000 feet, and basically he was most of the way to South Wales at that point, okay? Then he got in touch again, said he was at 5,000 feet, descending, spinning rapidly. There was nothing about compasses going wrong. So I don't know why you're even doing this. The plane was in perfect condition.
Well,
just look at the two locations.
I'll shut up.
No, it's okay. Listen, bring up the FOIA request, and you'll see now that you know when you've hit a nerve.
Okay, so you want me to read it out?
For the release of information held with Civil Aviation Authority, CAA,
Yeah.
have...
Let me just start at the beginning.
Dear Mr. Farmer, thank you for your request of 24 November 2021 for for the release of information held with Civil Aviation Authority, CAA, having considered or request in line with the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act 2000, FOIA, wearable to provide the information below. All UAP activity over the Irish Sea, East Coast of Ireland for dates 1-14th November 2018. All UAP unidentified aerial activity is seen by multiple flights/pilots on 9th of November 2018. All UAP activity over the Irish Sea, East Coast of Ireland from 21-28th of March 1968. Section 1(1)(a) of FOI requires a public authority to inform requester whether it holds the information specified in their request. This is known as the duty to confirmany. However, there may be occasions FOI allows a public authority to respond by refusing to confirm or deny whether it holds the information and, in this case...
Yeah, that's reading it far too quickly and it's making all kinds of errors. But you can see here, that this is the guilty part of the response for me. We can neither confirm nor deny. Now, they don't have any information on something, Paul, then they're just going to say so. You know, there was nothing that day, but they're holding back on it, and they're hiding behind. They're hiding behind something. I don't know. Maybe it appears more sinister than what it actually is. I don't know. But I'm after two different bequests here. One was the Shannon Air Force Base incident in 2018, and the other one, which is where I know there's declassified material from the case we're talking about now in 1968. So, do you know what it feels like? Frogs chasing cars. Okay, you caught the car. Now what are you going to do? But if you scroll down, you know, unless you can slow that reader down, Paul, it's going way too quick, way too fast.
Let's see, we got options.
Yeah, you need
it's
to
on
slow
normal
it down.
speed, it says, yeah.
Yeah, well, you need to slow it right down because it's horrible.
And it looks like it's going to go too much of a jump that way. Okay.
We can neither confirm or deny will hold relevant information to the above request. Occurrence reports are held with CA in accordance with Regulation EU number 376/2014 on their reporting, analysis and follow-up of occurrences in civil aviation, the regulation. A themed off TED transition period on 31 December 2020 the regulation, as amended by the Aviation Safety Amendment Ec. EU Exit Regulations 2019 was retained in UK law in accordance with the European Union Withdrawal Act 2018. An occurrence means a nice federal at devant wikendingerser which, if not corrected or addressed, cold and enter an aircraft, its occupant soaring near the person. The AMOF regulation is to improve aviation safety by ensuring that relevant safety information relating to civil aviation is reported, collected, stored, protected, exchanged, disseminated and analyzed.
I don't know, also it's having trouble reading this PDF, doesn't it? It sounds drunk to me.
Yeah. It does sound awful. But listen, what they're saying is basically, if I was a safety expert, aviation safety expert, they may have given me the information. But because I'm not, I'm Donald Duck.
Yeah.
So scroll down a bit. There's no point using that reader again.
No. Unless you want to have a little laugh at it.
Yeah, okay.
let's see. The civil aviation safety system is established on the basis of feedback and lessons learned from accidents. Civil Aviation Authority. The purpose of protecting safety information from inappropriate use and of limiting access to occurrence information solely to interested parties, precipitating an improvement of civil aviation safety is to ensure the continuing availability of safety information so that appropriate and timely preventative action can be taken and aviation safety improved. Regulation requires appropriate measurements put in place to ensure information collected through occurrences reporting schemes is confidential, and as such, information is not made available or used for any purpose other than maintenance of or improvement to aviation safety.
You can see now what they can hide behind. Do you know?
Privacy
it's
laws.
Really easy.
Yeah. But they can blot out the private information, right?
Exactly. So why can't they just redact that and send me what they can? But no,
Because they don't want to. But we can charge you $1 million to do it.
no, they can't. No, Paul. If you keep your request concise, like I've done there. Now I researched for you before. You know, I even done this. I'll give you an example. One guy, he sent a FOIA request to the MOD, and he it was kind of hilarious. He said, "Please send me all information that you have on UFOs and alien life." That was his FOIA request.
And it went straight to the desk of Nick Pope.
Yeah, that'll be £32,000, sir. Now, yeah. See, the thing is, if it exceeds £600, then they won't do it. You've asked for too much information.
Yeah.
But they are obliged to recommend to you the best way to narrow it down. But if you ask a really silly question like that, what I was doing was looking for specific times around about the time of the sighting and what UAP reports they may have had. And for God's sakes, don't say UFO anymore. It's UAP is the buzzword now. They don't like that word UFO. It's ridiculous because they're both interchangeable and they both mean the same damn thing. But
yeah, but they haven't said no
that's the way
completely
these
here.
bureaucratic bastards work, Paul. Is
They said if you can prove that you can make improvements to the system,
I can't.
then they can maybe give you the information.
Yeah, and even then they might only give me some of it, what they think's relevant. They're sneaky. But if you keep scrolling down, you'll see that I actually did. This FOIA request was semi-successful.
Information on AER Lights Flight 172, including military activity on or above the RSC surrounding this incident. My eye has got a wee bit blurry here, but the accident predates the CAA, which was not formed until 1972.
Yeah, that's right. There was another body then, but what they've done, they've pointed me to the National Archives. So I don't think too many people will have actually gone to the archive because it's not digital. What I've actually received from them is not available online.
Yeah,
but they're
digitizing
it for me, and they're sending it to me. For some reason, it's going to take them till the 6th of January. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see there.
This in the first
The
instance,
one file is on the salvage operation. The other one should contain the witness testimony, unless it's been redacted. I don't know.
And they're saying here, if you're not satisfied, complain to this lady.
Well, I did.
And what did she say?
Knock back.
Have you talked to Black Vault at all? Because he's used to doing this sort of stuff.
No. And God, where's John Greenwald when you need him? Yeah.
You could say, can you read this and see how you'd approach it next?
Yeah, because I'm inexperienced on this, Paul. 10 out of 10 for trying, but
yeah, he's probably been down this for the last 20 years. I'm not sure how long he's been in it, but
because he's more on the American side than the US government.
Yeah.
He can't do everything, but there's no reason why I couldn't forward him this message and see what he thinks of it.
Yeah.
It'd be great to have his opinion.
Yeah.
But I have sent it off to one guy, and he said, I'm not surprised about that response. And he's a journalist, award-winning journalist. And and here's another thing now. You've got the CAA, the Central Aviation Authority, and you've got the IAA, the Irish Aviation Authority. Now, in Southern Ireland, it's exempt their FOIA system, which is finalised in 2014. Isn't available to UK citizens, only Irish citizens. So there's still that little bit of a divide between the south of Ireland, the Republic, and
so you
UK.
need someone that lives in Ireland to do that for you.
I got someone. I'm going to leave it to New Year now, because there's no point doing it before then, because everyone's on their holidays. But I am thinking this one out really carefully. But you know what? This is the CAA. I talked to another guy as well. I mentioned his name. He's from Wales. He gave me some advice on FOIA. And he said the CAA are one of the most forthcoming with information. And he said another little trick is to send them one request, and 2 weeks later saying that file the same request again, and just hope it goes to a different member of staff who might happen to be a bit busy and gives you something that they probably shouldn't. It's a long shot, but it's worth a punt. For example, the 1947 Twining memo. I don't think that was that was ever meant to see the light of day. But I think somebody made an admin mistake there. Personally, I don't know. It's just a feeling. But or somebody made this mistake when they classified it. They classified it as secret rather than top secret, and somebody thought, "Oh, it's only secret." Put a stamp on it, declassified. Off it goes without actually reading it. Yeah, great research. Claire, I'm just like stumbling around, doing my best. Nothing special about me, but anyone can do this. Anyone can file a FOIA request. Most people just don't bother. You've got to have the enthusiasm.
Is there a charge from obviously Post, of course?
Right. Okay. So those two files there. Okay. DEFI 691339 and FCOA 3498. They cost me £16.80. That's all it cost. £16.80, and that will be, from my experience, those files range between about 50 pages and 1,500. So the chances are that just, price of £16.80, I'm going to have a whole lot of data. I'm going to have hundreds of pages of data. And of course, that's going to take me maybe, I don't know,
Yep.
2 weeks, 6 weeks to go through with a tooth comb. And maybe consulting with other people. Yeah. Hard work, bud. It really is. But it's fun at the same time. And even if you get a little win like this, damn it, celebrate it. It's better than nothing. You've got something out of them at least, because if this is in the National Archive and it's not available to the general public on the internet, then I reckon only a few people have seen this, and they may not have looked into these files the way I look into them. They would probably have looked into them as aviation experts, or aviation historians. I'm going to look at it from a slightly different point of view. As in, I'm going to look at this as something that's maybe anomalous, something that we can't really explain. And you see, it's not the only case that's. Do you want to have a look at that 2004 case, please, Paul, where an aircraft is damaged?
This is not even part of the Welsh Triangle either. The Welsh Triangle's over here, isn't it?
No. That's down Broadhaven way. Not far from Cardiff, Paul.
But Cardiff's
your closest point there.
Here, if you got some strange things happening with boats and planes, then maybe there's another triangle.
It was really the Broadhaven Triangle, and that went on for a couple of years, and then it just started suddenly and it ended just as quickly. But the 2
and
years,
oddly enough, it's there where that comet impact is as well.
Yeah.
And it's all in the same location.
It's not a million miles away, is it?
It's down here somewhere, I think, if I remember right. It's right across that area.
Okay.
And also there's actually quite a lot of sightings in Wales. It
quite
does
a
fit.
Lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't just UFO sightings, Paul. It was humanoid sightings.
Yeah,
it was
I know.
all kinds was going on.
And suits of all things.
yeah, including the Broadhaven school incident.
Yes. Go and have a read of the folklore, the Blue Men. It's quite an interesting story. And I actually did some research back then and come across the comet scientific report on it. And I thought, that's really interesting. Because they talked about ships going crazy out to sea there. So why not planes? And again, it sounds like, wherever we have these comet impacts, from time to time, strange stuff happens. Compass goes crazy. Things open up in the sky, and things disappear.
Well, Paul, I never thought about the approach. You see, that didn't actually cross my mind. So thank you for that, because that's another thing to throw into the conundrum now.
So yeah, I would look at shipping as well.
Yes, I am. I currently am.
Now, there are some apps that can track shipping all the time. I'm not too sure how busy it is out this way. I'd say it'd probably be pretty busy. Yeah.
Oh,
Not
well,
too sure if
I'll
there's
tell you
any.
the busiest route is with shipping is Holyhead to Dublin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's your main crossing.
Yeah. That's down here, isn't it? It's the shortest
Yeah,
route.
and then you've got another route from Haverfordwest, I think, or is it Milton Keyes, which goes more to the south of Ireland.
Yeah. But I can, which is quite interesting here, though, is the sea map. It looks very incomplete to me. You see little nodules, even around these islands here. We can see there's some underground islands happening, but it looks so incomplete to the other locations around the world. Look over here. It suddenly gets into more detail. Right. And you can see all the lines and cracks. Some of these would be like big as mountains under the sea, right? That'd be really deep.
Yeah. There's one other thing, Paul, that I thought of. Let me try and find it.
See, they've got a lot of details around these islands. And then we got South America there. Now we know there's 3 impact sites here. There's one here, one off the coast of Brazil, and one at the south tip of South America. And that's where the so-called South Atlantic anomaly happens in space, where electronics goes all crazy. And I think it's to do with the iron ore of those big impacts that happened millions of years ago. And it's influenced the magnetic field in that region around here. Now, I'm pretty sure boats go missing in that region of the sea there. There's big storms and freak waves. But we also know that happens with the tornado zone over here, which is where the Bermuda Triangle is. And we know from my map that I did, can't remember what live stream it was, 450, around about there, was it? That this is covered in many big asteroid and meteorite impact craters, including what looks like one out here. You see this one? Here's a little hole.
Yeah.
And that's where the Bermuda Triangle is. Florida, out to here, down to there. It forms a little triangle. And now we got the Alaska Triangle up here, which again looks very like a big impact crater here to me, which hasn't been discovered. And we know there's a few on land. Maybe the Black Triangle, that's meant to be the molten houses thing at the moment. Talking about a Stargate in it and all that sort of nonsense. But it would make sense that if this had ancient impact craters, that there would be black basalt, volcanic rock that may have been carved by ancient people into a pyramid. And it's actually inside a cavern, deep underground, where the impact would have happened. So I thought, oh yeah, this is an interesting piece of rock giving off funny electrostatic shocks. Let's carve it and see if we can do something with it, probably. So I think there might be something in that story. because of the impact craters is where I had a look on that episode. Remember, I was looking up to see if there was any truth in it, and sure enough, it did actually list one impact site, which is very close to where it was said to be where this pyramid was. But they wouldn't give us the exact location, of course. Linda Moulton Howe wouldn't do that. They want to keep it top secret, like all these other UFO researchers. They don't want people going there. So, yeah, I think magnetic fields and does influence our electronics, and I think also it can shift, because it's still underground there. And it can move with earthquakes and seismic activity, and then it can create, with the movement, it can create strange occurrences to happen if there happens to be a plane flying above at the time.
Well, this is the thing. If it was just that one isolated case, I'd have probably maybe moved away from it. But I found that the cases off the east coast of Ireland
with plane problems.
I only found 2 off the west coast. No UFO related incidents.
Yeah.
One of them, which caused the problem, for one particular aircraft in 2004.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring that one up so we keep this thing moving?
Yep. Was it that one?
Cheers, man. Yeah.
2004.
Now, I've made a separate FOIA request for this. And oh boy, we didn't like that.
Right. So they probably know what you're up to now.
Oh, there's no question now.
Once you get 2 things that are similar. And we're talking about...
We know them doing.
Let's see, we're talking about 36 years difference here.
Oh yeah, but listen, I found cases in 2003 and I found cases in 2005. 2 cases in 2005. One of them was shocking.
Okay. So, not sure I can read it all out here.
That was somebody else's research. All I had to do was read the book.
Did we read out this before, though? We could give it a try with the reader, see if it sounds...
Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter.
The reader might read it out all right. Let's have a look.
Date, January 4th, 2004.
Nice.
Location, Dublin, Republic of Ireland. According to an AER Lingus pilot, a huge triangular UFO was responsible for causing panic for the crew and passengers of 2 commercial jetliners en route to Dublin Airport, and considerable damage to one of the jetliners. At 8:30 p.m. on January 4, 2004, an AER Lingus Boeing 737-400 series aircraft, EIBXD, with 135 people on board, was approaching the east coast. The aircraft was 15 nautical miles from the Ashbourne VOR, Very High Frequency, Omnidirectional Range, beacon. The QDM, the magnetic bearing to the beacon, was 190 degrees, and the QDR, the magnetic bearing away from the beacon, was 010. The chart position was 53 degrees, 31 foot west. The 737 was being followed in for landing on runway 10 by a British Midlands Airbus 330 at 6 miles distance. Both aircraft were at an altitude of 3,000 foot AMSL, above mean sea level, and their speeds were 250 knots, standard for below 10,000. As the 737-400 series approached the Slane area, the Midlands Airbus crew observed a UFO taking off from a field with very bright strobe light flashes, as if taking photographs of the aircraft. The crew of the Airbus could make out a triangular shape to the UFO. The UFO began to circle the 737. The crew on board the 737, observing this, experienced a power drain on their aircraft.
Yeah.
At this point, the British Midlands Airbus 330 could observe a purple-colored glow surrounding the AER Lingus 737. As the UFO flew in front of the 737, at the same altitude, and a short distance in front of it, the captain requested a vector to avoid a collision. Even though they were on a VOR track, ATC gave the 737 an 8 degrees vector to avoid the UFO, as they had the UFO on radar. This is a very unusual procedure, as it upsets aircraft following behind, and may require vector changes to all aircraft, incoming and outgoing. A second encounter on the same night occurred at 10:30 p.m., as an inbound Airbus 330-200 series aircraft, with 213 people on board, was approaching the East Coast. As in the earlier incident involving the 737, the Airbus crew observed a flashing strobe light over the slain area. As the aircraft throttled back to 230 knots, and at 2,500 foot, the UFO took on a triangular shape. It was now in front of the aircraft, giving off a continuous, very bright flashing light. Again, this effect was akin to a camera flash repeatedly going off. The crew was advised by
Doesn't sound
ATC
like a
to vector
missile.
10 degrees to avoid the unidentified
No.
object.
Or a drone.
As the aircraft began to take up
No.
its new heading, the UFO began to circle it in a very aggressive manner. The crew members were terrified, and they expected a collision at any moment with the strange craft, which was estimated to be around 360 foot long.
That's
At this
quite big.
point, the captain filed a near-miss report with ATC. As the craft continued with its aggressive maneuvers, the interior lights on the Airbus grew dim, indicating another power drain. At this point, the captain drew the attention of the passengers to the strange craft circling their plane. At least some of the passengers had already been observing what was happening, and were now beginning to feel panicked. This scenario went on for several minutes. At one terrifying point in the confrontation, the wake turbulence from the huge UFO shook the aircraft violently and activated the wind shear warning device. This also records the stress on the aircraft and pitches it down to compensate and avoid stalling. All through this terrifying episode, other aircraft in the area were observing the encounter and listening in on the radio transmissions between ATC and the Airbus 330. The Airbus was vectored in on its final approach to runway 10, and, just 2 minutes before it landed, the UFO departed towards the southeast, shooting off into the distance. After landing and completing their flight logs, the crew passed the details of their encounter on to other pilots. The general consensus was that the area north of the VOR, the General Navan and Slane region, was now an area where UFOs had become a regular occurrence over the previous 3 or 4 years. Last modified, January 17, 2021, 9:18 and 4 seconds.
So this in
Home,
this.
About Us, Directory of Directories,
Whoa.
Recent Editions, Top
Where's
10
my-
pages,
Where's my
Stories.
cursor gone? It disappeared. Okay, so that is in the same area as this other one, 68. Let's get Dublin up again.
Yeah, Dublin's north. Dublin's north of Cork.
Dublin is up here.
Nevertheless, we're still on that east coast of Ireland, Paul.
And that's where the plane crashed here in 68. So back then they didn't have all the airports, right? So couldn't their plane requested to land down in England if it had trouble though?
You know how I see it. That flight survived, and we've got a story from that flight. We've just seen it. Aer Lingus Flight 172, that Viscount did not survive. So we don't have the pilot testimony. All we have is that, and that's an awful thing to look at. You know, we're talking loss of human life. Now, in 2005, there was another encounter, and I found it in a book. The book was called Conspiracy of Silence. It was it was offered by two Irish guys. I can't remember their names off the top of my head now. But that particular flight took off from Dublin as well, and it was en route to an undisclosed airport in the UK. You won't find it on the internet, Paul. It's not there. You will not find it. But the flight took off. Before they left, the flight got delayed because they seen 12 objects in the air. Thinking maybe they were possibly drones at first. They delayed the flight.
Atmosphere.
So eventually they gave clearance to the flight. When it did get up in the air, one of these objects, which appeared to be moving away out at the time, zoomed in, coming directly towards this particular flight. It had to take evasive action to get away from it. Things got so bad, this thing was circling them, darting all around the plane. It's a really scary story to read, and at the end of it, they radioed in for assistance, and the craft was scrambled. It was still over the Irish Sea at this time. Now, I'm guessing the closest RAF facility to the Irish Sea would be Holyhead, so that would be RAF Bally. So I've got a good mind to send them a FOI request as well, but I probably won't get nothing. You know what I mean? But yeah, it had to be escorted down to the ground, and apparently the UFO followed them all the way down, almost till it landed. So I don't know, but why would the pilot come forward like that and tell that story, not ever wanting to know?
Yeah, it sounds like there's multiple witnesses, like
He
pilots.
wanted to be completely anonymous. He wouldn't even say the flight number because he was afraid of being found that way. You know, his whole career was on the line.
The truth is out there. Yes, the truth is out there, channel. Good morning from Athens, Greece.
Athens, Greece, yes,
Greece.
indeed. Must be. Are they an hour ahead of us? Which would make
yeah, 1
7.
hour, I think. In Germany, 1 hour ahead in Germany, so I'd say so.
Well, anyway, strange goings on over the Irish Sea, and I've only just begun on this. I think I'm going to be spending years on this, to be honest.
Yeah, what was a bit about the
you might as
purple
well
lights?
specialise and do something, you know. There's some really absurd things that's happened. There's just too many of them to be coincidence, you know. At least that's where I'm going with it anyway.
Yeah. But we do know some articles can put non-factual stuff in just to make the story sound better. So
yeah, okay, yeah, all right then. Yeah, if that is the case, when I asked for when I filed my FOI request, why have you given me "we cannot confirm nor deny" answer? Because something happened, because they have some data on this, and if it's innocent, just give it to me then. Yeah, just give it to me. If there's nothing to see here, show me. The only hold things back for a reason, Paul.
Yeah. I'm just wondering about the purple haze. I just need to find where that was. I just can't see it. I just wondered what would cause a purple haze. What am I spelling? Purple. Here we go. I'll tell you, I'm getting tired. Okay, let's.
Good luck with
at this point, the British Midlands Airbus could observe a purple So this is another plane that's serving the other ones, is it? Could serve people. Glow surrounding the AER Lingus. As the UFO flew in front. So I was just trying to find out what would cause purple haze. And I guess it would be something similar to that there, right? So it's not uncommon to see purple. But they're talking about here volcano ash and all that sort of stuff creating the reds, right? Up here. I don't know if the plane was giving off any smoke at that stage. Could that have caused the purpleness as it's filtering the light from the sun? Whereabouts did I see it? Purple skies across England with sunrises. So it's obviously not abnormal. Pink and dark blue. I don't really see purple there though myself, but I suppose that blue is heading to the purple region. Wavelengths of orange and red are not so easily scattered, and hence passes through to our eyes, meaning the sky often appears red, pink or orange at sunrise. Combination of pink and dark blue can make the sky appear a deep purple. So what's that trying to tell us then? What causes the red? I think it's just dust particles, volcano, like I said, when we have a volcano erupt in the world, eventually New Zealand skies will turn orange, because obviously it goes around the slipstream. If we have fires in Australia, we'll start getting red and orange skies as well at sunset. So why would the UFO cause purple? Ionization. Let's have a look. Purple.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It's caused some field around the aircraft. I don't know what kind of effect is that. It all sounds a little fanciful, but
ionization. Damn.
Yeah, you need to get some words right on that one, mate. Go.
Okay, ionized nitrogen radiates primarily as a set of lines in blue part of the spectrum. There we go. So we know there's nitrogen in the air. A violet hue can occur when the spectrum contains emission lines of atomic hydrogen. This may happen when the air contains high amount of water with lightnings in low altitudes. There we go. So we're getting a magnetic field from a UFO.
Yeah. Well, we already know for a fact. Well, I think we do know as a fact that if you're in close proximity to, if the UFO is in close proximity to a car, a vehicle, especially the petrol engine, the car will stall because there's ionize in the air around it. Now, a combustion engine needs oxygen. If it's ionized, oh dear, you've got a problem. Engine stalls.
So did this plane crash this one?
Let me finish. More times than you could possibly imagine, when the UFO has left the vacation, car starts up, no problem. Sometimes spontaneously, on about 30% of occasions, without turning the key, it restarts again. Strange. Or is it that strange? It's just the science we haven't caught up with. There's no such thing as the end known. It's just the end discovered.
Well, we suspect UFOs use very high voltage, which is going to ionize the air around it. So that's going to cause the blue purple. So the UFO, if it was like invisible but in front of the aircraft and they were actually looking towards the aircraft, Well, they're looking from the side. It didn't actually say. Then they could actually be seeing the purple haze around the UFO rather than around the aircraft itself. Or if it's completely over top of it, of course. But it does sound like the Australian plane one as well, doesn't it? Where it had something hovering above him, right? So it was coming down on top of him.
Yeah, that was the Valentich case. Was it 1978 or 1980? I think it was 78.
And there was no wreckage found, apparently, but there were other bits and pieces found from other planes.
Yeah, just the same model, that's all, because there was bits of those planes that have a habit of dropping off. So no, they never did found Valentich or the aircraft. There's been too many cases like that. Okay.
Of course, this is another interesting thing here that could be done for... Hang on, if UFOs can ionize the air, why can't scientists create a satellite that can detect ionization around the planet and give a real-time map? See, that would be a good way to track UFOs then. Maybe they already know that. Probably how they track them. And they know it causes interference with planes, because we've seen that with even the Iranian one.
Yeah.
Obviously they're shielded and use fiber optics now, but I'm not too sure. Did they have fiber optics on the fighter planes back in Iran? I'm not too sure. I haven't actually looked deeply into that case.
I don't. The Iran 1976 case.
Yeah. So this is the same with this one here. The Lingus.
He had a weapons lock on. Yeah, well, the two different incidents. In 76, that guy had a lock on the UFO, and as soon as he got that lock on, and he went to hit the fire button, all his instrumentation shut down.
Let's do another search. Was fiber...
The only thing that was still running was the engine.
And fly-by-wire, is it? Let's see. First flight of the A70, 75, so it's after 68. And on March 1982, Edwards Air Force Base made the first totally fiber optic control flight using a single fiber flight control system. So 75 onwards. When they were obviously using it for military before commercial. When was fiber optic cables used? In passenger jets. Okay, that'd be a good one. Fiber optics used in commercial jets. Now that's probably why they didn't lose control, because it's 68 they didn't have fiber optics, right? So the UFO got too close to it. It could have knocked out some of the electronics, and caused it to spiral downwards. But like you said, you're saying it's going faster than it should be possible, which means it's got more energy pushed into it, so it's being pushed down at the same time by something. So maybe it was being tractor beamed to the UFO, and then it started going downwards and pulling down the UFO at the same time, and they lost control.
Well,
possibility.
I'll tell you what. That leads me on to something else. No, you finish off. You finish off,
78.
no problem.
Okay, so commercial planes started using in 77, which was 2 years after they got it working in military planes, right? So this shows there was a flow on from military research to commercial in that case. Maybe they knew about the UFOs back then, and the fiber optics was a way to ensure better safety, right? You'd be interested to see all these connections all sort of start forming, you know, the way the direction of technology went, and maybe the UFOs have been impacting us since 47 for a long time, where it's influenced increase in technology, research rather than maybe even reverse engineering, of course. So, as you know, they can only study up to the tools they've got available, right? And then they have to stop and put it away for 10 years or whatever, and then reopen the case and see if they've got any new improvements to the tools of doing forensic investigations, you know, using microwaves, using nano-sized tools or whatever, to look at metamaterials. So that's probably been happening every 10 years. I'm not too sure if there's every 10 years there's a jump in our technology at all. But maybe there is a jump in military technology, so that's something else that could be researched. Look at the black ops projects, or what do you call it, black budget, and see.
Let me just tell you this. Yeah, UFO researchers
What we got
were
here?
looking for
Got
changes.
some spam.
Oh man, I can't speak at the moment.
Hang on,
Go
we got
on.
some spam. We got some
What you
spam on the
think,
side. I'm just sorting it out. Just carry on.
Is it spam?
Yeah, there was some spam on the side. I got rid of it.
I
Lucky
don't
enough,
see no spam.
yeah, I've gone and told it to delete it. Clear. What's Clear saying? We got Clear up here. What did Clear say? There was said and the huge crime moving gold. People were killed by suffocation when high altitude.
Yeah, well, if the plane went too high altitude, it possibly would be. But
Yeah.
that's the Malaysian air flight
Ah,
she's
right.
talking
Okay.
about. It was a
Right.
C-70.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there. I do not know. I see that. Yeah, I can see that spam now. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
You know, people were looking for disturbances in the EM field, looking for UFOs in the 60s. And with limited success as well. But let's have a look at this incident now, because this is one of my favourite UFO incidents, and it's not that well known. It really isn't. It should be, but it's not.
Right.
So of the Great Lakes.
Did you post something?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
So
Claire's posted just underneath it. What she's saying.
Alright, let me just have a quick look
Program
again.
was Big Deep and a new book.
Okay, we don't need that open now. We read that one out.
The player that gave all details that go along with. No, thanks, Claire. Okay, I after this show is done, I'm going to take a closer look at that. Even if it's nothing anomalous, it's a tragedy, and it'd be nice to know what the hell happened.
That thing. So it's a YouTube video, is it?
Yeah, it's YouTube.
Gotta get rid of that front bit it adds on. Is it safe to play it?
I would say so. It's not a big channel.
Yeah, but now... Oh, yes, it is quite big. It's almost 1 million subscribers, isn't it? Where's that magnifier? There you go. 815k. I wish I had that many subscribers.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't think a big channel... Yeah, I don't think a big channel worries too much about small channels promoting them. Yeah. What's that noise I just heard? Sound like a drone flying overhead. Yeah, look what you're going to do. You're going to get the Men in Black anal probing me again. Okay, so we want to play it from the beginning?
In 1953, an unidentified and suspicious return appeared on U.S. military radar near Sioux Locks on the border of the U.S. and Canada between Lake Huron and Lake Superior. Whatever it was speeding across the sky at 500 miles per hour, and the Air Force scrambled an F-89C Scorpion interceptor to investigate. As it met the unidentified object on the radar screen, the American plane vanished. No trace of the Scorpion or its 2 pilots would ever be found.
Yeah, it's a problem when things crash over.
A mysterious radar return and disappearance.
So, I'll just pause it occasionally, just to make comments. So, it was going 500 miles per hour, was it? Doesn't sound very fast. Speed of light's 800, isn't it? Speed of sound, I mean. 500. I suppose back then that was fairly fast though. Fortunately, my keyboard's sliding further away from me here. Miles per hour. Planes. I think a normal passenger jet travels at 300 something, doesn't it? What's the first airplane capable of 500 miles per hour? By the end of World War II, there were several airplanes capable of hitting 500 miles. M262 or the Gloucester. We will fight, okay. Plane flies. Plane can travel. How fast does the 747 fly? Okay, that's in comparison. 800.
I don't know what you're looking at here, Paul. We know what the speed of sound is. It varies at different atmospheres, but it's around about 715, 20 mph.
Max flight at, so that can go.
Look, the aircraft they see, you're missing the point here, Paul. You're looking at the speed it's travelling and you're trying to analyse that. That's just silly. This plane didn't have a transponder. Okay? So anything that doesn't have a transponder and it was in a sensitive area, they need to scramble a couple of jets to get up there. That's what we should be looking at. Not looking at silly little facts like that.
I didn't think it was silly.
I think it is. Sorry, I have to say, that's
on the evening
silly.
of November 23rd, 1953, a mysterious object appeared on the ground intercept radars of the U.S. Air Defense Command at Sault Ste. Marie in Michigan. The target was fast approaching the highly protected Sioux Locks, which were under control of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and still serves today to control vessel traffic between the lower Great Lakes and Lake Superior. Kinross Air Force Base was contacted so the unidentified radar return could be investigated, and an F-89C Scorpion jet was scrambled to intercept. The Scorpion was piloted by First Lieutenant Felix Eugene Moncla Jr., who had registered a total of 811 flight hours. His onboard radar operator and only other crew member was Second Lieutenant Robert L. Wilson. As they flew, Wilson reported that he struggled to track down the object because it kept changing course, and ground control had to step in to give additional directions over radio. The pursuit lasted 30 minutes, with the Scorpion giving chase at over 500 miles per hour. Ground operators eventually had them fly lower than 25,000 feet to...
Yeah, that's an important little fact, and don't miss that. It kept changing course. He was having trouble keeping up with it, or tracking it. That's when you start thinking, okay, there's something a bit wrong here. This isn't quite right. A normal aircraft can't do right angle turns and suddenly change direction in a moment. I don't blame your skeptical mind, Paul. I'm all for that. Skepticism is really healthy, but you can't ignore those little points like that. It's so important to the case.
It didn't say it was 90-degree turns here.
No, it didn't say 90 degrees, no, but it was making unusual maneuvers. There's the clue.
to only 7,000 feet to match the altitude of the unidentified object. The official report of the incident detailed that the weather conditions were not ideal. The Scorpion had a visibility of around 8 to 10 miles in the area, with, quote, moderate to heavy icing in all clouds. Furthermore, the report spoke of scattered snow that moved through the area, temporarily reducing visibility to 1 or 2 miles while in the snow. Yet the air was stable, and no turbulence was expected. As the operators from ground control stared at their radar, the dot representing the Scorpion approached the dot representing the unknown object. At an altitude of 8,000 feet, 70 miles away from Keweenaw Point, and 160 miles to the northwest of Sioux Locks, the Scorpion intercepted the radar return on screen. The radar operators stared attentively at their equipment, waiting for radio communication and confirmation, but the Scorpion was not to be heard from again. The two dots on the radar met and converged. Only one dot was left on the radar, as the radar return from the Scorpion unexpectedly vanished. As stated in the official report, quote, at approximately 23:52 Zebra, the last radio contact was made by the radar station controlling the interception. At approximately 23:55 Zebra, the unknown aircraft and the F-89 merged together in the radar scope. Shortly thereafter, the IFF signal disappeared from the radar scope. No further contact was established with the F-89. The official report also claims that, quote, the radar return from the other aircraft indicated it was continuing on its original flight path, while the return from the F-89 disappeared from the GCI station's radar scope. It's been reported, however, that the unknown aircraft actually soon vanished from the range of the radar at great speed, be it by flying off into the distance or flying upwards. Investigations and contradictions. The U.S. Air Force conducted a search and rescue effort with support from the U.S. Coast Guard and the Royal Canadian Air Force, but they came back empty-handed. There was no wreckage and no clues as to what had transpired. Worsening weather played a role in limiting more extensive search efforts.
Of course, I didn't have any transport wonders or satellite or GPS back in those days either, which makes it really harder to find things.
Who's that little troll down the side, Charles?
We seem to have a lot of Russians posting stuff down the side. Random names. Probably people have been hacked or something, or they got a lot of troll accounts maybe, but that's alright. We can handle those. I forgot to take off that message off the screen too. Yes. There we go. Yeah. The thing is, 500 miles per hour for unknown objects is not terribly fast. It's not hypersonic or anything like we're today.
But how did it manage to disappear?
What, the plane or the UFO?
Well, they both disappeared.
Yeah. Well, possibly a portal.
Don't get into that preconceived idea. If it's only moving at 500 mile per hour, it can't be a UFO. good God, we know they can hover. We know they can move at any speed they like. That's the technology.
Yeah. I just wonder how accurate that is, though. If it could move at hypersonic speed, it's possible that it could fool the radar system that it's moving.
Absolutely, it'd be off the scope before you knew it.
It would disappear, right?
Maybe it doesn't care about hiding. Do you know what I mean? If we catch it, what are we going to do anyway? Nothing, because it's too advanced.
So possibilities then in the realms of paranormal.
Possibilities, yeah.
That it blew up into many pieces.
I think 100% this is a totally anomalous case without a decent rational explanation. Now, when a plane hits the water from 7,000 feet, it's going to be like hitting concrete. Planes are made of light materials, When they hit the deck, when they hit the water from that altitude, they're going to be smashed to bits. So what you're going to get wreckage floating everywhere, never located, gone. That plane was gone.
I'm not sure it'd be floating, but there might be chunks.
They'd have found it by now. They were searching for it for years.
Yeah. But it's the same like those Bermuda planes and ships that disappear, right? They never find them because it's so deep. But okay, so let's look at the woo-woo factor then. Okay, let's say that the UFO opened up a portal.
Whoa. Let's look at the facts again. There was 2 blips on the radar. Okay? This object dropped from 20,000 feet to 7,000 feet. Okay? We don't know in what time it done that. The plane was ordered to follow it down 7,000 feet. It caught it, and suddenly the UFO started closing in on the aircraft that were both coming towards each other. The moment the 2 blips emerged on the radar, both craft disappeared. It left the UFO for a second, and then...
Yeah. So that doesn't sound like a portal, doesn't it?
We don't have the radar data because they've covered it up.
Or there's a portal and the UFO entered it and the plane got sucked in before it closed.
If there was nothing to hide, they wouldn't hold back the data.
Yeah, but if it's a portal that everybody talks about now, if it followed it inside, it may have been within a range of it to be sucked in with it. Now, we've heard about these time warps where a plane has said the tunnel opens up in the sky over Bermuda Triangle, and he cut off a couple of hours of his travel time. Now, could the same thing happen here? Sure it could. And it's got the weather, bad weather then, wasn't it?
Yeah, the weather conditions, I will say that the weather conditions were relatively poor.
So, looking at the woo-woo factor, it's possible that it got sucked in with the UFO by mistake. We've also had stories about UFOs tagging along planes in South America, wasn't it? But wasn't that story proven false in the end? I'm not sure now.
Tagging along planes, stalking planes, that's been...
Remember that plane that said he collided with a UFO? And they were either side of him. They looked like men and flying inside these UFOs, right? Like there was a time slip that happened where it was actually future Earth, and these are like police of the sky, right? Because if you're going to have flying cars, you're going to eventually have you're going to have flying cop cars, right? That'll be the next thing, flying cop cars flying over your house. So yeah, But that's if you believe in time travel. But I still think it might be multi-universes. And some are like us. And they've got the same DNA, we've got the same planets. The same universe makeup almost identical. But they're in different time.
I wouldn't like to hazard the guess on that. But come on, let's get to the... Before you go off on that tangent, Paul, let's get to the end of this case.
So, the other thing is, it could have been abducted and sucked vertically out in space, like we've seen with the Nimitz thing.
I'd like to believe that more than I'd want to think, he died horribly that day. I'd prefer to think that...
Well, the other possibility, as we know, is they do go into the sea. So it may have encapsulated them and dragged them into a sea base as well.
Yeah,
but
did that happen with Valentich? We'll never know. No. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
The only minor piece of evidence that the U.S. Air Force eventually uncovered came from another Scorpion pilot who gave testimony to the accident board that Moncla had activated his radio transmission briefly, directing it at him 40 minutes past the incident.
Sorry?
Slow that down.
Slow it down.
No one can hear that.
That's normal speed.
That's not normal speed.
It says normal.
Yeah, it does. Oh, we'll slow it down a bit. It's awful.
The claim could not be confirmed, nor did it provide any helpful information. News of the incident was released to the public through the Associated Press, stating that the jet, quote, was followed by radar until it merged with an object 70 miles off Keweenaw Point in Upper Michigan. The unusually forthcoming statement made it clear they did not know what the object was. But later, the U.S. Air Force changed its tune. In a follow-up statement, they claimed the Scorpion had approached the unidentified flying object, which turned out to be nothing more than a Canadian C-47 plane off its course, flying over the Sioux Locks by accident. This version made it to the official report. Quote, the unknown aircraft being intercepted was a Royal Canadian Air Force Dakota C-47, serial number VC-912, flying from Winnipeg to Sudbury, Canada. At the time of interception, it was crossing northern Lake Superior from west to east at 7,000 feet. According to statements released before the report, the C-47 was prompted to change its direction, which it did, and the Scorpion dove into the lake on its return to the Kinross Air Force Base. Under these assumptions, it was officially reported that Lieutenant Moncla suffered from vertigo, or spatial disorientation, and that he, in all likelihood, crashed the plane into the lake. Contrary to these assertions, however, Canadian officials denied that their Air Force or any of their planes had been involved in the incident. They had no registered flights in the area that night. The Royal Canadian Air Force firmly refuted the intercepted object was one of their planes. In response, the U.S. Air Force amended their statement on the matter once they released the official report. In it, they detailed that the Canadian pilot was not contacted at the time, but only after the fact. The amended report further clarified that the pilot had not been aware he was being intercepted and that he had not seen the Scorpion. This written account could not be corroborated against any Canadian records, and no pilot has come forth claiming to have been the one involved. This has made many believe that in fact no such Canadian pilot exists. To make matters even murkier, a 1973 book by Donald Kehoe, a retired Marine Corps major, investigated the incident, among other unidentified flying object reports, and claimed that officers from the Air Force gave Moncla's widow, Bobby Jean Coleman, two different versions of the event. Their first version held that Moncla had dived into the lake because he was flying too low, but their second version was that a malfunction made the jet explode at a high altitude. The second explanation contradicts both the official report's claims of the altitude at which the plane flew and the claim that a theoretical Canadian pilot somehow didn't notice the scorpion. UFO theories. Due to the Air Force's inconsistent narrative and unsuccessful attempt at establishing an official sequence of events explaining what they reported as, quote, an accident, civilians across the United States drew their own conclusions. The Air Force's offered explanation as to why the scorpion disappeared from the radar due to atmospheric conditions was also either ignored or scoffed at by members of the press and public. To many, it made no sense that the scorpion would disappear due to a radar malfunction while the unidentified object remained visible on screen. If indeed at the bottom of the lake, reaching the crash site would be nearly impossible due to the depth of the water in the area and the lack of exact coordinates to the supposed accident site. With no wreck to be found, many civilian investigators have pursued their own theories as to what has come to be known as the Kinross UFO incident. One of these theories...
So, there he's saying that the plane disappeared, but the UFO was still on radar. Is that correct?
But
Did
not
I hear
for long. That suddenly disappeared as well.
Alright. Okay. So they couldn't have collided and exploded at the same time in that case.
That's right.
But they're saying the plane could have exploded into lots of bits and then dropped into the sea. Mm-hmm. But still, would that be a huge debris and still some float on beaches somewhere? I don't know. It's possible.
Oh, good God. The scorpion and its crew could have been captured.
By now.
Yeah.
You don't realise how much effort they put into research because, into the finding of that craft and the pilots, because they needed to explain this away. Because, I think this was 1953, wasn't it? The UFO issue was becoming, a real issue.
Mm-hmm.
With the Air Force, and they were jumping through hoops to try and explain this one.
Yeah.
But they couldn't. It was only a fake website in the end that claimed that they'd found the wreckage, but we'll kind of get to that in a moment.
Right.
By an unknown craft in an experimental operation. Another theory suggests that the scorpion may have impacted an unknown aircraft being tested in the area. These UFO theories were strengthened when in 2006, Adam Jimenez from the Great Lakes Dive Company reported to the media that he and his team had located the airplane wreck and a metallic section of a flying disc underwater. Hoax or secret?
Yeah.
In October of 1968, a Sioux Daily Star article reported that two prospectors located the tail section and other aircraft parts possibly belonging to the lost Scorpion jet on the eastern shore of Lake Superior. In another article from the same publication, it was reported that U.S. Air Force Major J.H. Parker from the Kincheloe Air Base confirmed that at least a stabilizer, which was among the recovered parts, came from a military jet. After that confirmation, no more information on the origin of the aircraft parts was published. The Government of Canada has stated that it has no record of this discovery or the results that came with it.
Very strange.
Then came the Great Lakes Dive Company claims of 2006. In August of that year, UFO researcher Francis Ridge received an email from Preston Miller quoting an Associated Press story that said the company divers had found the lost Scorpion jet. They claimed that the wreck was in the depths of Lake Superior, close to where the jet disappeared from the radar screen. Miller's email included a link to the Great Lakes Dive Company website. Ridge posted the email in relevant forums, prompting online curiosity.
Of course,
reporters reached out to the company and were put in contact with those.
I think that's part of the Lakes Triangle, isn't it? Superior. I'd have to look it up again, but I think it's there.
Yeah,
spokesman Adam.
the Great Lakes. That there was Michigan, Superior, Ontario, and there's two others.
They have a lot of disappearances.
But they were kind of both sides. Yes, exactly. If you look into that, that's a whole research project.
And also, there's big comet impacts craters all around there too.
There you go.
I've already got that map somewhere. Let's see. Actually, I might just
push me that map.
Let's see. I got it here.
Okay.
I think I did post it on Discord, but you're not part of the group. You're DM, so where is it? Work in progress. I still yet to go back to all that. I knew it was going to be many live shows to go through that research. I call it live research, like we're doing sort of now, really.
Yeah.
Impact research. Here we go. And I was doing some a map of everything. I think that's what I called it. Let's have a quick look. Map of everything. Here we go. Okay, so here's the Great Lakes Triangle. I think that covers pretty much all the Great Lakes, right?
Yeah, you got it. You can see the 5 there.
Okay, and the Great Lakes are here. And look at all those big impact craters. It's just riddled, right? So that's what research I was looking at. And we got the Bermuda Triangle down here, where the other big impact happened.
Yeah, let's have a look at that one by South Wales.
Okay, that one over there.
Oh,
it's close, but it's these ones are fairly big, quite big ones, and going back millions of years. But they haven't listed that one that we found. Talking about between the two islands, it's just not on the map. But there's impacts here, there for the South Atlantic anomaly. And we also got the so-called 37th parallel of where it cuts across all the states.
I suppose you can read too much into these things, but you've got to take them into consideration.
Okay. So if you have a look at that, that's right smack across there. 37th parallel, right across there. That's the hot zone, right? Got one at the bottom here, big crater, big in there, one at South Africa. I don't think I've done too many on Australia, but there are a few here. It's riddled. But also we found out by this map here that they found a certain type of rock. What's it called? Bespite or something. I can't remember now, but a bit hard to read it. And they reckon there's an impact there that happened millions of years ago, which oddly enough is getting up to Japan, where they got a triangle there. West Japan over here. So we've got an impact here, so I guess the map's not complete. So if you look at some of these lines here, they do look like impact craters all over the place under the sea here. But you can see this one here definitely looks like an impact one based on this map here. And New Zealand sort of got left off the chart a bit. So it's not
you don't
complete.
believe these trenches are just a natural part of geology then?
No, I think a lot of it was formed by impacts.
Okay.
And that's not complete map. This is all the biggest ones going back millions of years. Doesn't include all the latest ones from other ones like meteorites. It doesn't include meteorites. It's only talking about really, really big ones here. Asteroids, stuff that caused a lot of devastation. You can see there's a lot of ones in where the Great Pyramids are. Up here. We've got plenty in Russia. Tusker is there somewhere, isn't it? And we've got some in Asia here. India, is it? India there. What's that there? China. But like I said, it's not complete. But it's quite interesting when you start putting impacts with triangles, where magnetic fields have gone crazy. And also where UFO sightings seem to be or around the 37 parallel. So yeah, there might be something to it. So you want that map, do you?
Yeah, you can send it to me. It's
yeah.
It all helps. I don't know. You never know. It might be the last piece in the puzzle.
So these are all the little maps I was looking at, and also looking at locations of pyramids. Whereabouts was that one? I don't think it was added onto the map yet. That was the next stage. But oddly enough, a lot of the pyramids around the impact sites as well. And it's all around the central part of the band line there, and where the slipstreams go as well. But anyway, yeah, I can give it to you. Let's see, Discord. But yeah, don't let me slow you down. But yeah, my research, your research, because I was relating it to my two-part series on dimensions and multiverses, and saying how the model of a multiverse can explain everything, including time slips, things from the future, things from the past, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoots, everything, you know, where Bigfoots disappear. So if you haven't seen those episodes, the research episodes, go and check them out, but they're very slow going. You can skim because it's got chapters, so it's not so bad.
Okay.
I thought you may have watched those ones, because it was long after that you contacted me and you said, oh, those episodes you did are so amazing. That you enjoyed it. Again, it's not. We do stuff that's different here to other UFO channels. Other UFO channels are talking heads and talking about all sorts of garbage theories that have nothing to do with anything really.
Don't even start me off with these talking heads.
No, yeah, they're just terrible. At least we're trying to figure out stuff here, and try and.
Yeah, I got into an argument with somebody I won't mention names.
Right.
Somebody is quite well known in ufology, you know, because I was critical of some of these podcasts, and this person, you know, happened to be to be friends, and I said, listen, I'm the first to give credit to anyone that's showing me that they're doing something to bring this, this subject forward. But if someone's just going on there to talk and just repeat what everyone else is saying, and they just want their fucking face on a camera. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, but I've got no time for that, and I'm sick and tired of a lot of these podcasts that are doing.
That's why I never wanted my face on camera, because
I'm going to calm down now. I really had enough these, and I'm not learning anything from podcasts.
No.
The only time that's interesting, Paul, is when you've got a good witness on a podcast, like the Martin Willis show, for example. Yeah, sure that that's interesting. I've calmed down now, by the way.
What can I see?
But yeah.
Everything. Why can't I see everything?
Like some of these podcasts, and you've got 4 or 5 of them on at the same time, and they're all
There we go.
licking each other's bum until it's dry. Do you know what I mean? And what do we do then? They tell us what we already know. Oh well, cheers for that. Thanks.
Okay. So I've sent those maps to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. Got them in handy. I'll stick that in the folder.
Yeah. And also gave you the pyramid one, which I just found on the other screen, but why can't I see it here? Oh, here we go. So this is where all the pyramids are. And look, right around the impact zone. And remember all those impact zones that are up here? Or around there. And remember that one that was just smack over here? That's where the Great Pyramids are. And there's a great big impact crater here. And you might remember there's a couple of small ones heading out this way. So probably Easter Island, is it?
So the squares of the impact sites.
These are meant to be all the major pyramid structures. So Great Pyramids. South America here. Inca.
No. You've got squares and you've got a circle just where about London is. What's the circle about?
So that was square. I think it's just smaller.
It is. Okay. Yeah,
so I'm not sure if there's a pyramid there or not. I don't recall seeing any pyramids around about there, but maybe there is. Maybe it's a mound. So they might be mounds, not actually pyramids, so smaller ones then. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny, that one in England you got there, it's not far from Wiltshire. You got Stonehenge.
Yeah. Oh, it could be hinges. I don't think the map's got any ledger on it. Maybe I missed adding it. I was more interested in the big sites of where all the pyramids were. And it was part of that theory I did years ago before I even looked at impact craters, right? And we know there's a crosswind that goes right around the planet here. It goes around in a circle. So if you launched a hot air balloon there, it will travel across to Easter Island. And remember they saw gods in the sky descending, and it goes to the Nazca lines over here. And occasionally they're going to drift off course too, right? So they're going to go more South America here too. And of course they're going to end up also in Asia. Going across here, back over this way, around in a circle. And yeah, it's quite interesting how they're sort of clustered. So that's a clue, you know. And a lot of these are in impact crater locations as well, which is interesting. But again, there's no there's no dark pyramid up here. Remember the Linda Moulton Howe was talking about the dark pyramid. There's no square up there. So
I just get the feeling that map's incomplete.
Yeah, it could be. It's including all the major. Is it the ones that weren't really stepstone type ones? All the ones that required a lot of work, basically. So you know, you've talked with the reason is we've talked about in my previous episodes about ancient maps that were really detailed before we even had flights or satellites, right? And how could they do that just by flying a ship around? But as we know, there's a lot of ice in South Pole, right? And this is what's interesting on these maps. The maps actually show the land mass, not the ice. Now, if you're going to go a ship around, you're going to plot where the ice goes to, because that's where you think land mass is. Right? So how did they know under all that ice was a land mass?
Yeah.
And the only way I could really fathom that is that they had obviously some flying craft at that time. Airships would be perfect. So would they have drifted down South Pole? It's possible, you know. They may have crashed into the sea and then started heading south, and somehow survived and started rowing backwards, upwards, and hit America again. And that's where some of the maps were found, right, in South America. And then they were transferred to the great library there, Alexandria. You might remember that story. And there was some sort of great fire that burned down. Yeah, the library was burnt down. I'm not sure if it was a war or something that happened there,
Right.
but all the ancient knowledge was lost, which is a damn shame. But there might have been some things that survived in vast.
I have to say, like, you know, our history is problematic. As in, we seem to have a great deal of intelligence at a time when we really shouldn't have had it. And then suddenly it was lost, and I mean, it was lost for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And some of it we still can't replicate to this day. Now, where did it come from? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have a very sneaky suspicion that we've been tweaked in the past.
Yeah, so the ancient pyramids could be 100,000 years old, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
The pyramids could be 100,000 years old. Some have said. So, it's possible, you know. Wear and tear and all that sort of stuff. Maintenance on the structures.
The biggest clue is the Sphinx. If you look at the Sphinx and you look at the erosion, you know, that suggests there was civilization there long before it was supposed to be there.
Well, it's meant to be surrounded by water, and they know that they use canals and reed boats to transport these large blocks of stone down these canals to the building sites. So they always build it near rivers, right? And then they do canals off it. Now, they discovered this in South America only in the last couple of years, where they found, using LiDAR, that there were canals that were buried, which went into the ancient cities that ran all the way from the mountain streams. And that's where the blocks of... oddly enough, the building blocks of the city that was 5 miles or 10 miles or whatever it was away came from. And the only way to transport that would be through these canal systems. And naturally the water would run downhill and aid them in transporting it. And once it was built, they would just fill in the canal, right, and keep some of the water around the city for drinking water and irrigation, that sort of thing. And run the sewer. I guess they would have had some civilization where they poo, so it doesn't go into the water supply, maybe. But something happened where they died off. Maybe there was an extreme drought that happened, and they didn't get enough water. Maybe they should have kept the canal from the mountains going all the time. Maybe there was some sort of disease that happened where the people that knew how to maintain these things died off. Say if that happened to the world today, say if this virus knocked out 90% of the population in the world, how many experts that know how to build chips and computers, LCD screens, would all vanish, and there'd be a massive slowdown again, and possibly stop. It depends how bad it would get, you know. But that also runs into that conspiracy about the maximum population on the Earth should not exceed 500 million. Now, they never found out who actually funded that through the banker. The banker, I think, may have taken it to his grave by now. But it was never documented. But obviously the bank got paid and he paid the workmen to do it. Well, why would someone do that though? Because this description on those rocks in the Georgina, is it Georgia? I mean, really bad, really, if you read what it says. So yes, New World Order and all that, is that now coming into play? That's what a lot of people are thinking, right? So they're getting to the stage where they're going to take away currency, right? Because they said, oh yeah, the virus can get onto there, so you can never have currency. That means you can't get paid under the table, or that means you'd have to have everything controlled by the banks then. And they'll know exactly how much you're earning, how much you're paying out, and they could also stop your funds and lock your account at any stage so you can't buy food or do anything. So they control people that way. Scary thinking that could even happen. And it seems to be heading that way. Which everybody, like Alex Jones has been ranting on for years. That's what they've been planning.
I know that. Should we keep it to UFOs rather than politics?
But still,
yeah, okay, I know, but I think
still it's sort of related though to UFOs as well.
I don't think so. It's getting hard. That's why no one's listening.
But anyway, yeah, see what next year brings. So it's going to be an interesting year next year, I think.
Yeah, but what we need to do, Paul, is finish your case and then talk about other stuff afterwards if there's anybody left. But
well, as we know, we can't trust that counter. Like I had 8 people popping in and out, and there was at least 3 or 4 on the side chat, and it was saying there was 0 or 1 person watching, which is nonsense. Does it actually say that on the main screen? Anyone that's watching? Does it actually say 0 watching on your screens? Or is it just my counter that's been sabotaged?
Let's have a look. It's not showing me how many's watching. I'd have to refresh the page. Hold on, so you'll hear something now. But don't.
So we're coming up to 3 hours already, are we? Another 3 hours. Yeah, same.
Okay.
You gotta mute it.
Yeah, I've done that. I've paused it actually. Wait there, so. Hold on, so you'll hear something now. But don't.
So we're coming up to 3 hours already, are we? Another 3 hours.
Okay, that's muted now. No, I can't see if anyone's listening to us. I think it's just me and you, Paul.
Yeah, it's the witching hour now, isn't it, for a lot of them? Mind you, there could be more UKers popping on now, couldn't it? 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but
that's if I'm broadcast by YouTube, which I'm probably not, so they probably don't know I'm live. But we did get a lot of Russians there from Europe for the time being.
Experience on the group, Paul, that I don't find many people actually joining in the conversation till after about 5 p.m. in the UK.
Yeah, so next year what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into the presentation being 1 hour, and we'll probably edit it so it's all nice and smooth flowing. And then we're going to have an after show where we can do what we're doing now, is throwing in the questions, the hard questions, to Robert or whatever, or we'll do some research.
I think that's a good idea.
And then we'll open, maybe do open lines at the end of that as well, so anyone else can jump on, talk about any other topics that's related, But it would be good to also, if anyone wants to tell their story out there on UFO or alien encounters, we could do a special episode on that, or a chat thing with you, with Robert and myself. So yeah, don't be scared. We can have it just voice only if you want to, not show your face. Or even possibility I could disguise your voice real time even, because I've got that technology now. But yeah, that's just...
If someone wants to stay anonymous, that's really cool with me, because there's one thing I love and I live for, that's witness testimony.
Yeah.
Now, if it's lights in the sky, okay, yeah, fair enough, like, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, if you've got something more close up and personal that you want to share, you know, whether it be missing time, an abduction, or a really close up sighting, hey, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
I can promise you, it won't go any further.
So what you can do is you can tell Robert, and he can then relay it as himself, telling the story that he received that way. If you don't mind it being told, of course, because all this information adds into the understanding what's going on here, how much is being covered up. But we have some stories on our channel. Must be at least 10 member stories there that we've had over the years. Some are really crazy.
Yeah.
So especially that one from Australia. So yeah, go and check them out and have a listen. We also got a case that was proved by MUFON to be a unknown as well. That was in Ireland, and the guy gave me his report on it that he got from MUFON, or some of it anyway. And
do you remember? Do you recall what part of Ireland?
God. If you probably said it, I'd probably say, yeah, that's it. But at the moment, no. But you could probably find out doing a search on the tab of my channel and just type in Ireland or something like that and see how many things come out of Ireland.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
Irish. But apparently
Was
he was like in a...
Was
He was up on the kit...
sea?
Sorry? You talked
Was it
over
near
each other.
water? Was it
No,
near
he was
water?
out. He was smacking field. He was like a farmhouse, and he was looking at the sink in the kitchen, getting a glass of water or something, or making tea.
Yeah.
And he saw this thing coming over the like a hill in the background and over the trees. Right. A typical flying saucer, he said. It was silent and it flew off. Mexican hat sort of thing, you know.
Do you know what? I'd love to hear that account.
He did phone in. He phoned in on open lines. So I was a wee bit suspect.
Places in Ireland, there's several places in Ireland that
right.
are quite known for UFO reports, and one of them is Wicklow Mountains.
Right. I can't remember what it was.
There was like hilly and trees. That does sound a little bit like it. I'd love to know what that is.
Yeah. So yeah.
Do you have his name and such?
Yeah, I think he did give his some of his name and details, not address exactly, but
okay, just pass them on to me, see if I can get in touch with him.
Yeah, what did I do with the documents? I probably stuck it with the episode folder for backup, probably. Because that's what I do.
That should all be in a folder, pal.
It isn't a folder, but it'll be with the episode that I made that day, or whatever, you know. So it is actually stored. So if you can find out what the episode is, then you can look in the source backup folder for the documents. But they'll be on the live stream, because I did actually show them on the live stream. So you can actually read it. But yeah, seemed genuine in the end, and I tried to get him to come back on and talk about it again, but he never did. But yeah, he did have a MUFON case number, and it definitely wasn't searchable. I thought maybe he was pranking me. Maybe he'd found something in the database where he lives and phoned in. And the thing is, he wasn't quite fluent in the description of the UFO. He wasn't really fluent.
Did he have an Irish accent?
I think he may not have been Irish. He may have been someone that moved there.
Didn't you ask him where he's from?
Well, we're talking about a couple of years ago now, so I
matter.
can't remember all the details. But like I said, it's on the live streams. It's on the live streams. But it might be related to your case. Maybe you can find the location there. Is what I'm bringing it up. And to go back and look at those old cases again. Because you may be able to verify that there was actually stuff happening there in the past, or the future even. Looks like I got Plex on Discord messaging me now. He must be finally up. 9 o'clock, 9:30. He'll be having his breakfast. Anyway, let's finish off this video. And you can open it up to anyone that's still out there.
Jimenez. He spoke to multiple journalists and completed interviews, including one with UFO researcher Linda Moulton Howe for the nationally syndicated show Coast to Coast AM. Once again, the Ken Ross UFO incident had captured the public's attention.
She looked different back
then. On their website, the company posted 2 images of the discovery taken from a side-scan sonar. These were fuzzy images showing an almost intact aircraft, easily identifiable, lying on the lake bed. Next to it was a teardrop-shaped metallic object, perhaps proof of an experimental craft. The mystery had been solved, or so some thought. Journalists and self-reported UFO experts began raising their concerns and poking holes in the claims. Jimenez was willing to talk about the discovery for non-presential viewers, but would not reveal details such as the vessel used, company details, or evidence of previous excursions. Some claims made by the company were straight-out falsehoods, such as a statement that blamed the Canadian government for blocking further surveying at the crash site, which was impossible because no one had ever even requested to survey that particular area. Deeper investigations found no previous history of the Great Lakes Dive Company, and the director of the Association for Great Lakes Maritime History said he had never heard of the group, nor had any of his associates. The only contact information ever given by the company was the email address and cell phone of Adam Jimenez. When his name was inputted in databases in search of biographical data, no related results came out. A subsequent investigation by the MUFON, an international UFO research civilian organization based in the U.S., concluded that the Associated Press story was fake and had been drafted by Preston Miller, if he even existed. In-depth investigations seemed to conclude that Adam Jimenez did not exist, and neither did the Great Lakes Dive Company. Only 3 weeks after claiming the discovery, the company's website vanished from the internet, and Adam Jimenez dropped all correspondence, his cell phone disconnected. On the other hand, Brendan Baylod, director of the Association for Great Lakes Maritime History and a Great Lakes shipwreck hunter, has stated that the side-scan images are authentic, albeit either made with a towfish rather than a fish finder, or closer to the surface than the 500 feet or 150 meters claimed by Jimenez. The scan was never linked to an actual location.
Of course, you could take the latest technology there now and rescan that whole area and see if you get the same blips. Something like Josh Gates would do. Give the case to Josh Gates.
The whole thing was a hoax, Paul. At the end of the day,
you reckon?
Well, of course it was.
And the website about finding it on the lake bottom being a hoax, or maybe maybe they'd be silenced though.
There was no such company.
Yeah, but how can you make a company disappear?
You create a false one in the first place.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can make people disappear. And then call them also as
So, okay,
companies.
if that was the case, then they've located the aircraft. Why on earth would you want to hide the wreckage of the aircraft? Because something would have to be badly wrong there. Remember, it was related to a UFO incident. Yes.
Well, it's quite easy to pull down a website, take it offline. They do it all the
Yes.
time. That
Yeah, but why couldn't any of the individuals been found?
maybe they were and hushed up. Maybe
Yeah.
they knew, once they knew they found it, they put their own divers there. And of course, maybe there's something they didn't want the rest of the world to know about.
Ah, right. So maybe there was a UFO there.
Or some military experiment that went wrong. But
Possibly.
yeah, so we did complete it in the end. We'll see if I can find the Irish documentation for you, if I'm not too tired sometime, and upload it to Discord as well.
Yeah. That's cool, Paul. I've been reading a couple of books by UFO research in Ireland has been a little bit scant. A lot of the groups that opened up there didn't last long, and they done quite poorly. They didn't have much interest, you know. So they crashed and they burned.
Yeah.
But there was one, I think it was Aerial Phenomena Island, something like that. That stood about for a bit, and I can't remember the name of the two investigators now. So, I mean, I can still get in touch with them, and I plan on doing that. But yeah, I've learned quite a bit from the Irish side of stuff, because it's only 64 miles from where I live, you know, to Dublin, Holyhead to Dublin, just 64 miles across the sea, of course. So you know, it takes like 4 hours to get there in the old slow boat. The other one gets in 96 minutes, I believe. Yeah, the HSS high speed service.
I do reckon that you need to do some travelling with your P1000 and start filming stuff and documenting stuff where these areas of strangers happened. Like even visit the school, Broadhaven, and maybe find the farm with the spacesuits, maybe, you know, or where other things happened.
The only thing is then that all we have is photographs and video the things actually happening. We weren't there.
Although you could go to a local pub and say, "Oh, yeah, just seeing where this case happened. Do you know anything about it?" And then you find other people.
Absolutely. Oh, do you know one of the best sources for information in pubs?
There's the barmaid.
People have a few beers. They have a few beers, and the town starts to get a little bit loose. Then,
yeah,
and hopefully you'll get some good information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's no good going to the local police station and asking for what reports they have on record, you know, or going to the nearest RAF base and asking them, because you know that's going to be a long, drawn out procedure. Pub is a good place to start for info.
So, in terms of ufology this year, would you sum it up as a good year, average year, or really poor year?
Okay, I think it's it's going to be. This is just my gut feeling. It's going to be an historical year, because I think the Gillibrand Amendment will go down in history. Maybe similar to the Magna Carta or the provisions of Oxford.
Yeah.
I honestly think. I think now Harvey Reid. I don't know if you know, he died yesterday.
Yeah, I heard that news
Yeah,
from another channel.
Yeah.
Harry Reid and someone else started. Walden. Can't quite remember.
Oh, I don't know. There's
Yeah.
UFO related that to me. I don't know
Harry
name
Reid,
and
what did
feel.
he do again?
Well, he's the man that got the finances for the ATIP OSAP program. Now
Right.
we still have quite sorted.
Right.
This one out. He's aged 82. He's a decent innings.
Yeah.
But I think if it wasn't for him, we'd still be in the dark ages, the days of the Condon Committee. Now, as fared with Condon, fantastic scientist as he was, yeah, I'm quite happy to call him Condon, Paul. It doesn't bother me, because he might as well have his head stuck in one now. Yeah, I don't really care. Because the guy let the side down. You know what I mean? It was a cover up.
Yeah.
Edward Condon didn't even read his own damn report.
No.
Yeah, 30% of sightings could not be explained, and the committee turned around and says nothing to see here. 30%. If you can't explain 30% of what's in the air, don't you think that's a little bit of a problem? I'd say it is.
Is anyone in the side chat still with us?
No.
I think they may have gone for breakfast or something.
Yeah, well, we started this at we started this at a very unusual time, to be honest.
Yeah. But
I'm worse for wear. I've had an awful few days. Computer was virused. Had to get that redone. Food. Then heavy drinking. So next time I'm here, I'll be in better form.
Yeah, which will be in the new year, and we've still got to do some things with you to be able to do the new format.
Yeah.
Yes, so really, if we keep it our show, people who watch the our show may not watch the debate on it, or whatever, the after show, as I call it, which is fine.
Yeah.
And maybe an hour is still too long, but too bad. But I'm doing 30-minute ones for my ones, which shouldn't be too long. 10-minute videos, I just refuse to do them. They're just stupid. I can do 10-minute debunk videos, but like I did in the past.
Claire's been here the whole time. My God, how the hell did you put up with us?
So I need to go to the toilet now. You can talk to Claire if you want, or I can wrap up soon. I'll just be back in a minute anyway. I gotta take out the dog in 10 minutes anyway. Anyway, I'll be back. Sum up anything you want to for the year, I guess.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things happened, Claire, over the last year. I think now that the likes of Luis Elizondo and Christopher Mellon have been found to be pretty much not guilty, in my eyes. Now, when they first came on the scene, I mean, I was highly suspicious, because in the past we've had people from the intelligence community. And they've put a spanner in the works, and history generally tends to repeat itself. But I think with these guys, I don't see any kind of op at all. I don't think there's any kind of psyop. I think these people are the real deal, and they're trying to get the truth out. I honestly do. But there's two different factions going on at the Pentagon. There's those that want the truth out, and there's those that don't. And with the Gillibrand Amendment, we've seen like a kind of a preemptive strike from the Pentagon. This was like the Empire Strikes Back when they introduced that absolutely ridiculous program called, oh my God, what was it called? Airborne Object Identification and Synchronization Management Group. What the hell kind of an acronym is that? And please, 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 I'm not going to say that again. I've done it once.
Okay,
yeah, I think those people are the deal. And, before the sea, we were stuck in the Middle Ages. And I'm really grateful for
Good
that.
morning, Plix. Yeah, we're going to wrap up in 2 minutes. Yeah, true.
But Plex made a comment under an episode we did about Gary McKinnon, and he was just so spot on in what he said. Gary McKinnon himself was telling people, look, I'm not a hacker. I just scan for blank passwords. So James Oberg may well have been correct. There was an outer layer of security. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if Plix is here still. He must have shown up just as I was going to toilet.
Yeah, he's probably come and gone again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, like the conspiracy theories, are going on that it's a cover for some future technology. I don't believe that at all. Come on, man. They've never kept any technology under wraps for more than 10 years in the past. Why now? I don't believe that. If it was also a PSYOP, why the pushback from the Pentagon? And that pushback, you can see clearly it's there. Another one is fake alien invasion. Oh, come on. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, that ain't happening. Do you honestly think that would be a good idea? Wouldn't you rather tell people about China or Russia than you would aliens? For God's sakes, what's going to happen if you create a fake alien?
You might cause conflict with them if you said them.
Just
how they
on the aliens. Come on, it's absolutely ridiculous.
And they got upset that Australia blames China.
No, Paul, listen, you don't have to say it publicly. You just say it's a Congress. Look, the Chinese developed this technology. We need a bigger budget. Yeah? That's all you have to do. You don't have to start bringing aliens in. Once you do that, you're causing... Oh, my God. Yeah, listen, to me, this is simple logic. And how most people's brains are working on this one, I really do not know. Because people are talking a complete load of shit. There is no fake alien invasion. There is no cover. There is no cover.
No Project Bluebeam.
Because we don't have it. All our technology has been linear. You can see it developing as it goes. And I don't believe in this absolute crap about a breakaway civilization. I honestly don't believe these triangles are ours. And I think some of them are. They're doing really funny things. They travel backwards, they travel sideways, they travel forwards, they spin on their axis, and they go from point A to point B which might be B, might be 20 miles away in a split second. And we're running around the jet fighters. Chemical propulsion. Man, I just don't believe it. You know, and if you think the evidence against me is Edgar Fauci's TFEB, well, just prove it, please. You know, so I've not seen it. I'm done.
Yeah. So many disinformation people out there. Always got to take in consideration. And Michael Schratt might be one of them. I just don't like that guy, and he's hanging out with all the wrong people now, and that makes him less credible.
Well, look how he felt for that. Was it J Rod or J Bob or J Rod? It was, wasn't it?
J Rod, yeah.
Bob. Yeah. we don't know. Listen, when someone's got an anonymous source, big red flag. Big red flag for me.
Yep, his story's all been taken from magazines, books, and all sorts. And obviously some of them are just pure.
He's a lovely guy. I'd love him to be here in this room and have a chat with him. Have a beer with him. Or coffee. Or whatever. You know? But I don't think he's the most credible source of information.
Not if he's hanging out with Blake Cousins.
Well, that's not the best start, is it?
No. At least Dolan had the sense to cancel that one that he was going to do with, and so did Lou. So I give them both credit for that. They had sense to see through that. But unfortunately, Dolan's gone down another route where he's making lots of money off things, and he's doing documentaries.
Dolan's smart. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows how to make money. He's working with Darcy Weir now, making these little documentaries, and he's the main person, isn't he? The historian for it. So, although some of the movies are okay, the Men in Black one was not too bad, but the one with the volcano UFOs with what's his name, Steve Bassett and Jamie Mason was just so terribly lopsided and wrong.
I mean, you know, Steve Bassett, I love him. I love his enthusiasm.
Yeah.
You know, he's a lobbyist more than a ufologist, if you see what I mean. But he's on the same side as us, and he wants the truth. But point is, he's been so wrong on so many occasions. What he tells you now is almost certainly not going to happen.
And how about Grant Cameron?
He's been promising disclosure every year since God knows 20 years now.
And that sounds like a career. And also, Grant Cameron is also.
Well, no. I would never compare Bassett to Greer. That's a really unfair comparison.
No, I wasn't comparing them. I'm just saying that he also been pushing it for so long.
Bassett is not a profit merchant.
No. Although he did appear on that UFOs over volcanoes, and it had nothing to do with the volcanoes at all. It was just blabbing on about disclosure and government cover-up and stuff. And it's almost like he was blabbling, and it didn't even fit the movie, right? Maybe he asked him about volcano UFOs and instead started talking about other things, so Darcy just included it into the movie to make it longer, perhaps, and more credible, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not. But I did actually do a screen capture of various parts of it, and I tried to find some external sources for the videos they used, and tried to do a review of it. So there is actually an episode of mine where you can actually sort of follow it through with little clips here and there from the movie. without breaking copyright,
Yeah.
which is always a
You know,
problem.
another thing about the year in review, we've seen Seth Shostak change sides. He's now with the Galileo project because he doesn't want to be on the wrong side of history.
Okay.
He will be. He would have been if he carried on like that with a silly effort to investigate Sati. Neil deGrasse Tyson lashing out with people with his Twitter stick was pathetic.
I never listened to that guy in the first place.
He's another guy who's going to end up on the wrong side of history, and it won't bode well. He needs to think of his offspring, because after he's passed away, he's going to look a right dumb ass, big time. Because there's one thing you can't do. Every secret comes out in the end. Disclosure is almost impossible.
Yeah.
But it's at the same time it's inevitable.
Yeah.
This isn't a black and white world. There's things in this world that we just don't understand. And I don't know if aliens are actually alien creatures or not, but there's something. There's another kid on the block.
Yes.
It's another intelligence that's the only thing I can say with absolute certainty. And if you look at it, into all of the humanoid sightings we've had down the years now, if it was only 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, yeah, we could dismiss them as delusional people or whatever.
I think
when it's thousands and thousands and thousands, and they're just the people who've been brave enough to come forward, you have to think, hold on, yeah, the chances of them being real physical aliens, and yeah, is a real possibility.
Yeah. When I heard, what was it, a few years back, when they said that now they think every sun has a solar system of at least 3 or 4 planets, then that sort of changed the odds. When you're talking about trillions, what was it? How many stars in the universe? Observable universe, I should say. I think it's 200 million trillion stars, right? That's a lot of zeros.
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
So
that's what we've found so far.
Yeah, and I still think we've got a lot to learn still, and until we get into space, I think we need to really get into space, and that should have happened by now. I remember reading magazines back in school where they're talking about living in space, with these spinning wheels with like glass houses, right? That should be out in space now already happening. And it should be like a tourist thing where Virgin whatever is flying them up there. Or Amazon or whatever. So yeah. We're way behind the game because we're too busy fighting each other. West against East and all that sort of nonsense, and letting religion control our minds.
I know it. This is part of that's part of the reason why we haven't had any disclosure, because it's such an unpredictable beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go into that thing how we reacted to COVID, but listen, what would you do if you covered something up for 75 years, yeah, and then you suddenly want to admit to it? Then you do it slowly. That's the only way you can do it, because if they were just to throw a hand grenade through your window, no.
Yes.
That's not going to work.
Yes, it's kind of ufology is just disappointing, really. After being in it 6 years now, seriously, before then it was like an interest subject or yeah. For yous, it's been like a lifetime of reading books on it. Me, I never was that serious. I was too busy studying and work and all that sort of stuff, trying to make a career, which was a waste of time in the end. But yeah, things happen for a reason, I guess. I ended up doing this YouTube channel, and look all the problems I've had with it.
Well, yeah, maybe that was your destiny.
And it's still part of it. Because it's still going, Seems to me that some powers to be, like Rob, that doesn't want to see the channel go.
No, I don't want to see the channel go.
Mm.
I'll tell you what, I've been on a couple of other channels. I didn't like the way they were going.
You got to be honest all the time.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, well, that's where they fell down, Paul. They were all about views, and they weren't about the truth. I can't be doing any channel that's all about woo and not about facts.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole thing today now, when I was talking about Aer Lingus Flight 172, the risk count that went down over the IPC, I'm going to look at the data when I've got it all. And if I think that it was probably something, it was probably a natural disaster and it was not UFO related or some kind of time anomaly, then I'll say so.
There is interest in the woo, though, isn't it? There's no issue saying the woo, even if it's sort of like possibly true, until it's proven otherwise. But I'm pretty sure people go out their way to make up a lot of woo stories just to keep a radio show going,
Yeah.
How,
1,000,000%.
Yeah. How easy would it be to make up a ghost story, or, say that you went out with these guys that you met on the radio, and now you've seen a Bigfoot for the first time, or whatever, or now you've gone ghost hunting and seen an apparition. Yeah, it's all right saying that, but you got to have a video proof or something to back it up. Because that's what's happened with sold out radio, as certain person calls it.
Unfortunately, that definitive proof has always proved elusive. Now,
I'm pretty sure Dave's a nice guy. Come on,
there's not evidence of absence.
Yeah, a lot of these guys online are nice guys, most of them, and that's why they're liked so much, like Tyler and all that, and Blake, everybody likes them. I find them funny myself, and sometimes I can find it hard to hate them because they're so funny and what they do, but I don't have to, I'm pretty sure they laugh at themselves when they do it. But, I'd be happy if they just renamed their channel something else and not list it as UFO News First Out and all that sort of nonsense. And just say, yeah, we're just doing it for entertainment and all that. Just put disclaimers out and not say that they're actually looking for truth when they really don't. They're not really looking for truth. They're just looking for the next dollar they can make from it.
Yeah. Where can we, they're looking to copy anybody else's research and then using that.
Yeah. Or they just recycle the old stuff as well, which has been really bad this year. This has probably been the worst year for recycled stuff, trying to repackage it.
Yeah, but listen, like we looked at the Kindros UFO incident today. That was 1953. Now, there's nothing wrong looking back on that, because a lot of people may not have been aware that. But how many people are looking back at historical cases?
Yeah, I suppose I should clarify my point there. Recycle stuff
Yeah,
that was presented the year before, or couple of years before, right?
there
I'm not
you
talking about stuff that
go.
happened 50 years ago. But there is a point where you can have too much Roswell. Hey, Plex, how's it going? Yeah, I should really
You know,
take out the
because
dog.
at the end of the day now, at
Mm,
the end of the day, we're never going to solve Roswell, so I can understand why you're fed up with Roswell. It still fascinates me, but I don't think we're ever going to find the answers um,
mm. I sort of
to
got
that case.
tired. Yeah, I got tired with it in the end myself because it's
There's
not
an
going
awful
anywhere. It's not
yeah.
going anywhere.
It's not. It's just spinning its wheels, and
Yeah.
you know, you've got the likes of Tom Kerry and Donald Schmidt, who've how many books can you actually, you know, come on, for fuck's sake.
Yes, there's this guy's knocking out books left, right, and centre, which is fair enough if they're
Yeah,
doing new research and compiling information into a book and trying to make
yeah,
money from it. But really, I feel there should be a period of time where information in that book should be public domain, right? So they should just open it up after they made the money. Fair enough, because they put their research effort in it. They got to cover their costs, right? So I have no problem
yeah.
with that.
Those guys have
Um,
done some good work, you know what I mean. But don't
yeah,
forget the Roswell's fight.
but that's where
Oh my
Denton
God,
got me.
bless him.
Denton
That
went
was
on third
right.
phase with all the other guys, and his
Oh,
credibility
bless
just
him.
dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the
Yeah.
guy. I like the research he does, and clearly he's bringing new stuff forward in this research and doing so because a lot of it's not online, right? But he's just annoyed me by teaming up with the Dream Team. Now, despite how many times I hear a certain person keep plugging them saying, "Oh, they're doing the same as everybody else, all the other UFO channels. They're telling you the case and they're guessing what it could be, and everybody's guessing, and then they're trying to include the audience into guessing what it could be." Well, no. um, I say what I think it is, and not guessing, and I try and prove it where I can. But as you know, the information is lacking on a lot of these videos that keep popping out, and of course it's been recycled. I'm not like any other UFO channel, as far as I'm concerned. And I do live research. Who's done live research where you make mistakes and things lock up and crashes, and you just keep on going, right? And then someone can take the bits and pieces from that, which is what we do with chapters, so you can skip past where the errors were and pull out all those maps that I got in the end. That was like hours and hours of work. Those maps I gave you just to find
Yeah,
them and
yeah,
make it. But yeah, like I said, it's not complete by any means, but it's sort of giving you some ideas there where the triangles are, impact craters are, and a lot of anomalies and sightings happen, paranormal wise as well as UFO wise as well, and
yeah. See,
Bigfoot.
I mean, that's called proper research.
And you could always go back
You
to
know,
that map now and say, oh look, something happening over 20 years there, and look, it's smack in the middle of an impact crater. You can just pull out the information and use it. You see, and
yeah.
that's because we're making it public. We're making it open, especially through our Discord group, and anyone can grab
Oh,
it, right?
geez. I mean, I don't know why I'm not on that group. I don't know if I'm not allowed on it or something now, but
No,
I don't.
we want you on there, but I know you're having difficulty understanding Discord still.
I don't think so, Paul. I was on it before yet.
You still had problems with it. But yes, you can join, and we have said that before.
To be honest, I just didn't have time to spend
Yeah,
all my time on Discord,
yeah.
just talking about stuff to people when I'd rather get my head really stuck into what I'm doing.
Yeah, there was a point where they said Discord deleted stuff, and people said it was no good for, like a Facebook where you want to store information because it can vanish. And so far, I don't think that's happened. I haven't seen it vanish. Maybe Plex knows more about how they do their data storage, but they had pinned comments, right? So it wouldn't get purged, and they only give you 50 pins, so it doesn't make any sense. So I don't think they purge anything.
I mean, well, what I've done is I just thought that if I find anything new, anything that's significantly new, that I might have trouble finding again, straight onto USB drive.
Yeah,
Double
but
back,
you can make
put
up
it
your own Discord group, you know, and you can start setting up. You can start up.
I don't. That's just wasting the time. And
Yeah.
you know, I've got my own groups to run. I've got to post every day.
Okay, but if you want to join, if you're already a Discord
Yeah.
member, if you just want to join, just hit the plus sign down the side. You probably seen the plus sign. It says join a server, because they call it server, not a group or whatever. And just type in that invite code that's in brackets in the About tab of my YouTube channel, or on the Out There channel.wordpress.com site, which is pinned. You'll find the invite code there. Just type that in the add box on the servers. Just scroll to the very bottom. It says enter the code.
My only all is like you and Plex, you know, extremely gifted as far as the technical side of things are concerned. I think what you need to do is maybe make it a little bit easier for the average person to join and share stuff, like, you know.
Yeah, well, we don't have to make you a moderator, but you can maybe get access.
I don't want to be anyone, and I'll probably spend over time on it anyway.
So you can't really do anything damaging. So, but we can give you.
To do that?
Well, how to do damage? Or you can do quite good damage on Discord if you've got mod rights.
Yeah, well, why enough would you do it though? There'd have to be something really vindictive in your nature to do that.
Yeah, that has happened.
Yeah, I know, but not for me.
Yeah. Plex says he's been on it for 2 years.
Is a mouthful, and I'll block you for about 6 months until it calms down.
Yeah, I said that you'll forgive me eventually, or whatever, if I upset you.
Yeah.
But
did I do anything vindictive? No, nothing.
No. People suggested that you burnt your T-shirts, which is obviously not true. But
that was my
your
cousin. He was having a laugh, mate.
I said, well, I don't care what you do with it, because they do wear and tear, and eventually you will be using it as a paint and top, so that's okay. But still, there are, they're good. They're good hoodies.
I'm not burning something that good.
Yeah, they're good quality, and you pay the price and you get the quality. Plex just looked up the invite code and posted it on the side for you there.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay, so you just need that number on the end there. Just do the plus and go to server and scroll down the bottom, and just type it in again. And we can make you a special member, so you're never kicked accidentally by any bots or stuff. But we do have a lot of trolls, of course, a lot of spies. We know they're spies because we see them hanging around with the other channels. They eventually give themselves up. But we haven't really got anything to hide, really. We're really disgusted with a channel. We'll say we're disgusted with a channel for promoting this or that or this person, and how they're so wrong and double standards and all that stuff. So we just talk our minds. But we do post various links to various videos, not just all about our own stuff. That's why it is a research group. there's probably still plenty there that I should look at for future episodes as well. Put that up on the screen here anyway. Clicks. There's the code. He's got a link to it. And he's done a separate comment for that underneath. If he kept it on the same one, it would have added both together. But yeah, I've got to get going. 11 o'clock and Mum will be going to bed, and she wants the dog walked and whittled and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a fairly good night going. It's amazing I've lasted so long. I think there's a wee bit of delay between us, but that's alright. We've managed to not talk over each other too much. And yeah, I thought maybe we'd have more people tune out too. So I'll just say...
I think we picked the actual worst possible time.
I did try this morning.
6 a.m. At 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's my hours now. Is normally a disaster.
Yeah, let's see what 2022 brings, and as the Beatles says, it can't get no worse, right? And
who said things can only get better? I'm not sure who's saying that now.
well, they can't get worse. I don't think so. I think we're at the rock bottom, really. Apart from a World War III, maybe, which could be on the cards yet. So I don't know. The world is crazy.
Oh, man. Every day above ground is a good day.
Yeah, hopefully, if I can get rid of these swollen feet of mine. They're terrible, painful, but yeah. Seems like I've been cursed. Need to lift the curse.
Yeah, are they giving you diuretics for that, Paul? Take the swelling down.
The doctor reckons it's because of my diabetes. Sugars are out of control, but yeah, I've been taking aspirin, which if it's mini clots forming, hopefully that dissolves them. It does help thin the blood as well, of course, as well. And that does help to reduce it sometimes. So I don't know. I reckon they need to do like a CAT scan or something like that, like a blood flow scan, just to be sure what's going on. But yeah, I've put on too much weight, so I got to lose it, really. So it might happen. Maybe I will lose weight. And stop.
Well, try and do it in little steps, you know.
Yeah. I think the lockdown totally screwed me up. I think when we had lockdowns in New Zealand, we couldn't go anywhere, and my way out of the house daily was with the dog, and that's sort of fallen to the wayside now because I got more unfit, I guess, or something else happened, some other condition happened, where now I can't walk too far, and even around the dog park, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, I've got to keep pushing, and push it or lose it, you know, and diabetes is terrible. Don't want to push it on anybody.
It's cool. I know I've got a number of friends that have type 2, and only one or two that have type 1. It's not a nice beast.
No.
And considering you're not a drinker, you're bloody unlucky to fall
Not
foul
really.
of that. You know?
Occasional drinker, but not a big drinker, no. In fact, I've cut down on a lot of the sugary drinks as well, but sometimes I do have cola sometimes, but I find it too sweet now, so maybe my taste is changing again. You know, you go into cycles where you crave sugar, but then when you try it again, because it's corn syrup, a lot of stuff, isn't it? And it's got that, I don't know, it's different than cane sugar. If you put cane sugar in your tea or coffee, it tastes nicer than it does from soft drinks. It's hard to explain. Maybe I'm a super taster or something, but
Listen, Paul. At the end of the day, yeah, we don't want to lose you yet. We don't want to lose you yet. You know.
Well, it may happen. I just we don't know their time.
Yeah, well, we all have to go at some time, but not just yet, please. You know, we want to live 20 years at least, don't we?
Well, I've had lots of tests and blood tests, and the doctors all come back good generally.
Yeah. It all starts with tomorrow, Paul. Come on, I've given up smoking. Why don't you make that effort to walk? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm getting back into it. Now I've got
half a mile further tomorrow. Give up the KFC.
We don't have that very often. It's not that. We might have it once a month, but it's not. It's not. Well, you give it up because it put you on the toilet.
Called denial. Yeah, but I'm slim. I'm only 17.
Yeah, no, you can't give off everything like that for for life.
No,
you got to sort of have a balance, right?
I totally get that.
I love salads now. I used to hate salads, but I just love them now, and it's just the way you make it and stuff, right? But anyway, I think the dog's outside my room here, and yeah, my buddy's outside wanting his walk, so I better go and finish this episode off. It must be up to 4 hours now. Anyway, I'm just going to click the ending and say goodnight. And Rob will be with you again in the new year sometime. So, still lots to do. And hopefully we get some more subs, because YouTube is going backwards again. Something strange going on there. And Plex, I'll see you on Discord, and maybe Robert as well. Oh, I forgot to get rid of that message. There we go. Winding down. What did we get up to? 3 hours, 45 minutes. No one will watch it. Well, maybe a few dedicated people will. Whether I do chapters, I don't know. It takes a long time to do those.
Oh God, come on, man! We're all over the place anyway, so it's
yeah. It's in the year wrap up. It should have ended up in a fist fight, you know.
No. I don't what we've done today. You don't get that on other channels, you know. I think people looking back to that will think it's great and saying that, to be honest, you know.
Yeah.
No harm in that.
We don't do any harm. We just do a lot of talking. And theorizing. Oh, we've got to end.
Oh well, you can't do a podcast if you don't talk, no, Paul.
There we go. We ended now.